Weird.
We can't all make declarations of hatred at the same time. Hi, everybody.
There are dozens of us. Dozens!
你好中过只叫希娜，我爱更尊重中。石油上。
Alson, help me up onto his casket so I can dance on it.
I don't care.
But how did you ever find us?
Oh, easy. We just read the screenplay you left us. Oh, God! Oh, God! Oh, God!
You get nothing! You lose! Good day, sir!
I'll help you.
Everything is sexist, everything is racist, everything is homophobic, and you have to point it all out.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
Huh? Zappuccino.
All right, it is Thursday night in Tooney Town, and that can only mean one thing. It is time for Tooney Talk TV. Folks, my name is Marvin, and I am the Movie Monster. I am also the editor-in-chief of That Park Place and the host of Tooney Town TV right here on YouTube. So welcome to any new viewers, and welcome back to all of our returning friends out there. I see a couple of you in the chat right now. Folks, we've got so much news to get to today, and I'm excited because actually for the first time, pretty much all the news that we're covering tonight was written by me, so I know like all about everything. So we're no flying by the seat of our pants tonight. It's going to be an anti-Tooney Town Tooney Town TV kind of episode. But I can't do it alone, guys. And as always, I need my all-star panel here with me to help bring you the news as only they can. And where is his intro video? I wanted to play the intro video again, and now I can't seem to find it because when I was away, all of my clips got moved around, and so now I don't have as easy access. All right, I can't find it, so I'm just going to bring him on. Ladies and gentlemen, my best buddy, Kevin Apollo.
You stop with that boulder dash. I moved 2 clips. 2.
Everything is out of sorts. I know like where nothing is anymore.
You do one thing, and all of a sudden, it's everything. Stop it.
Oh, so are you telling me to
shut the hell up?
I can say that to you, yes, because you can't take up half of everything I own.
I don't know why. I found it. It's actually right up. You know what? I'm gonna play it anyway. There we go.
I apologize in advance because I sound like Buddy Love. You
sound a lot better, like way better than you sounded last week. So you don't sound on your deathbed anymore. You and Cumius says Kevin is back. You actually spelled that wrong. There's an L in between the B and the A. But he's having the realization, like, oh my god,
all this. My favorite part from Lethal Weapon 2. Joe Blick. He is. You are. I am.
All this time, I just listened to the audio and assumed he was white from the sound of his voice. But somebody who is white and all right.
Many confused girlfriends' fathers.
Yeah. That one just got me. I don't know why. But someone who is quite all white and quite all right. The one and only Trish. I saw you rolling your eyes backstage also.
I was like, here we go. Yet another crazy intro.
I was
winging it. We're gonna do it live.
We'll do it live.
Trish,
you are going to be so Trish, you're going to be so happy tonight because, as you could tell from the thumbnail,
I know.
JK Rowling is in the thumbnail. We're talking about Harry Potter tonight. You have things to contribute.
Forte.
Yeah, like yeah. I think this is gonna be a very Trish heavy episode, and I'm here for it.
Yes.
And yeah. So also, folks, joining us now, a lot of our regular panelists are running a little bit late. I know Nolan is running late. Lauren is running late. I'm not 100% sure if Martin is making it tonight. And of course, we all know Spencer likes to come in right at the finish line. But we have a special guest tonight joining us, just a fantastic artist and wonderful creator. Folks, my dear friend, Jessica Calais Sheffield, joining us for the first time tonight. Jess!
Hey, everyone. How's it going?
Oh, I'm very happy to have you here. Jess, why don't you introduce yourself to the audience? Tell them a little bit about who you are, what you do.
Sure thing. Hey, everyone. Jessica Calais Sheffield here. I am the nerd of all trades. And that pretty much explains everything. Most people don't believe it, but I've been in the Navy. I've worked at NASA. I've written a couple of books. I've drawn comics, vocal coaching, just a couple of months ago, I sang at a rock concert in Osaka. So you name it, I've probably done it.
I met Jess in February at MegaCon. We met by chance on the floor, and then I went to her panel, and just one of the most fascinating, knowledgeable people you could ever meet. So I jumped at the opportunity to have her on the show when she, when we reconnected. So very happy to have you here, Jess.
You are a shameless flatterer. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be on this show, and you guys are so fun to listen to. So I was like, all right, this will be fun. I'll just pop in and be like, hi.
Super glad to have you here, and super glad to have you and Cumia, who has started us off by gifting one Tooney Talk TV membership. Thank you very much, you and Cumia. Guys, we want to turn that chat green. So if you feel like gifting memberships or purchasing memberships yourself, go on and turn the chat green. It might not be easy being green, but we like to think we make it look good. And of course, guys, if you want to chat along with the show, if you want to be involved in the show, super chat your comments and questions in, and we will address them in between topics when we get to all of those wonderful super chats and all the amazing generosity that you guys show each and every week. So thank you guys very much for all your support. All right, let's start us off. You know what? I think I want to start us off with Ridley Scott, because Ridley Scott had one of my favorite moments of the week. So let me get that article up for you guys. So
while you're doing that,
it's already done.
Wow, we are super prepared this week.
Yes, we are. Go ahead. What were you going to say, though?
I was going to tell Trish that if you happen to just randomly Google Dean Winchester, I did earlier today, there's an entire Amazon section dedicated to Dean Winchester clothing.
I think I've seen like a TikTok, and someone was just like, they had their own press for the t-shirts, and they were just making their own iron-ons, and it was amazing. I was like, wow, okay.
Right there. Dean Winchester clothes. And if you click it,
wow,
it's everything Dean has worn.
Oh my god, I'm gonna look it up.
Trish already owns it all.
I do not. I actually don't really own any supernatural clothing, to be honest.
Really? All right.
So I have like a shirt that got me once.
Thank you.
Well, you cut me off. I had stuff to
say. Ridley Scott has shut down Variety when aggressively asked about a cut Gladiator 2 same-sex kiss. Now, I don't know if you guys saw this. Denzel Washington opened his mouth in a really stupid way to be like, yeah, I kissed a dude in this film, and they cut it because they're chicken. And then that just started the media firestorm. So director Ridley Scott minced no words when confronted on the red carpet by Variety's Mark Malkin over a same-sex kiss involving Denzel Washington that was cut from the film. Now, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Mark Malkin and his body of work. If you are not, then I almost hesitate to tell you, because I feel like you're living the good life right now because you are unaware of this man. He is pretty much I'll get into it here. Malkin's entire job of late seems to be asking celebrities questions about alternative relationships at red carpet premieres. Known for his trademark bow tie, horn-rimmed glasses, and a scratchy voice that makes everyone listening instantly have to clear their throats, Malkin seems to have one and only one angle when asking celebrities questions, and that is he walks up to them and goes, "Would you say that this is the gayest thing that's ever happened?" You guys remember him from Agatha all along?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, he is just so annoying. But here he is asking Ridley Scott. I gotta ask you about the Denzel kiss. So I'm gonna let you guys hear him do it.
Gotta ask you about the Denzel kiss. He said people got chicken. Did they get chicken? They kissed with the boy.
Am I wrong? He's mad there, right? Did they get chicken?
Oh, yeah, he's annoyed. He's annoyed.
Yeah. So
gotta ask you about the Denzel kiss. He said people got chicken. Did they get chicken? They kissed with the boy. Denzel kissed the man, and then he killed him.
Okay. Did he? He kissed the senator. You mean the senator?
Denzel said he kissed the man on the lips, but it didn't make the final cut.
No, that's bullshit. It was a senator.
Based Ridley Scott. That's bullshit. No. Oh, no, my dear boy. I'm Ridley Scott. I am. I love him so much.
Oh, you're gonna turn him into the man Russell Crowe with the tugboat.
Yes.
Hey, tugging.
Making movies, making songs, and fighting around the world.
On the lips, but it didn't make the final cut.
No, that's bullshit. It was a senator.
Do you see? I don't know if this is. I don't know who this is behind him. Maybe it's his wife or something. But she goes, "Oh my god!" like she can't believe that he's being asked this.
Did he?
They never did. They acted the moment and didn't happen.
So it never happened.
No, it didn't happen because they acted the moment as if he. You want me to do it right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you think?
Ridley Scott shut this guy down. So he said, Denzel kissed a man and then he killed him. Did he? I love that. Did he? Yes, they acted the moment and it didn't happen. So Denzel Washington first referenced this kiss in an interview and a legend grew around it. They took it out. They cut it. I think they got chicken, he said, before clarifying that the kiss was not romantic in nature. I guess they weren't ready for that yet. I killed him about 5 minutes later. It's Gladiator. It's the kiss of death. Washington later remarked on this issue, noting that the press was blowing the story out of proportion. It really is much ado about nothing, he said at the film's premiere. They're making more of it than it was. I kissed him on his hands, I gave him a peck, and I killed him. Malkin, seemingly unable to help himself, also asked Connie Nielsen, who reprises her role of Lucilla for the sequel. Much like Scott, Nielsen shut Malkin down immediately. She said, "Yeah, my grieving scene didn't make it into the film either." She said it wasn't homophobia; there was just no room for it. So Malkin left the Gladiator 2 premiere empty-handed, having failed in his never-ending quest to shift the focus of every Hollywood project toward personal relationships. Guys, this guy is just too much.
That's what he gets for stealing Harvey Firestein's gimmick.
Right, he's stealing his entire voice. I mean, it was not even a romantic kiss in nature. It sounds like one of those things where it was the kiss of death. And go ahead, Kev.
I was like, that's why I love that Ridley Scott got so indignant. He's like, he kissed a senator. With anybody who's ever watched the Gladiator movie, and not in the airplane kind of way, you know how this goes.
It was. This guy does it. He did it at Agatha. There were a couple of different movies where he's just like, "Is this the gayest thing?" And he came in hot. He came in mad. He was ready to take Ridley Scott to task over how dare you cut a kiss between two men. Never mind that it was a kiss of death. Like literally a kiss of death. Like, and it sounded to me like when he said they acted the moment, it sounded to me like they did it in one take. And it was an acting choice, not something that they were directed to, wasn't framed in the shot, and then they just didn't do it again. That's how I took it.
Listen, even listening to what Denzel said, Denzel is usually very careful with his words. So it sounds like he was just joshing around, and all of a sudden it turned into, "We are devoid of context. Action required. Gay kiss. Denzel kissed a man.
Action required." Yeah, that's exactly it. Jess, what do you make of the question, the reaction to it, how Ridley Scott handled himself?
I'm laughing because I was just discussing this with a friend of mine who's a historian. And you're right. They have no context for this. It's a gladiator movie. They're talking about ancient Rome, and people just like to modernize everything, and it's definitely a kiss of death situation. There's no romance associated with those sort of situations. And just today we were talking about a story about the Ennead, ancient Egyptian, mythologies and things like that. And a lot of websites are trying to push, I don't know, Egyptology tourism by saying, oh, look, they're non-binary and there's all this homoeroticism. And I'm just sitting here going, you do not want to hear the actual stories behind, the Egyptian mythos, because they are not pretty, they're not romantic, and they are not what you are pushing on these people. So it's just amazing how it's like, you're talking about that, and then this story comes up like, oh, flow. Very, very, very relevant. I love it.
Trish, how about you? What do you take of it, and how Ridley Scott handled himself?
I've been to the Colosseum in Rome, and I know that when I was there, I said to myself, this place would feel much more significant to me if I knew Denzel Washington kissed someone here. Like,
not just somebody, but another dude, right?
Yes, specifically another dude. I would have taken anyone, but if it were another dude, it would have just been that like half a step more than I needed.
Puts it over.
Yeah, I mean, like, listen, Ridley Scott is nearly 87.
He doesn't look it.
He had no patience for this topic. None.
I don't, and he's more than double my age. So, I can only imagine what I would feel like if I were him at 87 being asked this question. This is completely irrelevant.
The only person I want to see answer this question more than Ridley Scott is Clint Eastwood.
You get a boot up his ass. But also, guys, somebody who I want to hear their take on this exact topic, joining us this week from That Park Place, Martin Stone.
What on earth have I stepped into?
You have stepped into Ridley Scott dealing with a.
No, I know the news story. I'm questioning my life choices.
Yes, yeah, but now I mean, didn't even in the Bible, didn't like Judas betray Jesus with a kiss? Nobody thinks that was romantic. It was a sign of betrayal. It was like it sounds like this was kind of the same thing. It was his betrayal. It was murder, and yeah, it got cut from the film because that's what happens. Martin, how do you think he handled it?
I think Ridley Scott just being dismissive of all this is the perfect way to handle it.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. All right. We got a couple super chats that have come in. First of all, John JID 999, member for 2 months, says there's a lot of really good movies out and coming out. I recommend The Substance, Heretic, Bad Boys 4, and Maxine. Michael B. Jordan's upcoming film looks fire. I have not heard of any of these.
One of these things is not like the others, because I'm pretty sure 3 of them are horror movies, and then there's Bad Boys 4.
Bad Boys 4, yeah.
Which I guess, depending on your perspective, it could also be a horror movie because he has to go home to Jada every night.
Does he? Anymore? Who knows?
Oh man, John
party.
God, John Williams for $4.99 says ancient Greece relationships between man and man wasn't gay. Only being the bottom was gay because it was being female. My goodness.
Precisely.
Yeah, right. That makes sense. It's not gay unless you're on the bottom.
Ancient Greek logic.
It's only gay. It's only 50. It's only 50% gay, guys. Oh my goodness.
It's a lowercase gay.
Hangry Table checking in for $13.99 Canadian.
Hey.
Marvin, Kevin, Superman Legacy trailer in 3 weeks. Concerned, excited, concerned that you're not excited. Also, speaking of gay kisses, John Kent is completely MIA in the Superman comics. DH when? Yeah. So, Superman Legacy trailer, Kev, coming very soon. Actually, probably sooner than most people think. I'm concerned because at the end of the day, DC needs this. If this does not hit, then DC doesn't hit. And but you know what? We have 2 more panelists joining us, and I would like to get their take on this. So hold on, Hangry. I'm gonna. And by the way, Hangry, if you want to come into the show, I'll send you the link.
Why is it Hangry here?
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to send Hangry the link right now if he wants to come in and actually have a conversation about this.
Disgruntled Ottoman.
Disgruntled Ottoman. Yes,
Never forgotten that one.
Why don't I have Hangry's DM pulled up?
You want me to forward it to him?
No, I got it. I found it. There we go. Send it over to Hangry. But folks, joining us from the world of Lost Media and his own YouTube channel, the one, the only, Mr. Nolan Thunder.
Hello there. I'm coming here as a representative of Variety. He wanted me to ask if this is the gayest stream on YouTube.
It's safe to say that no, it is not. there are far gayer out there. Oh my goodness. And of course, guys, we have another one. We have another person joining us, and
Who's that Pokemon?
it's Lord.
I have a protest.
You're on in that?
There are 2 women now on the panel. now we have to settle something.
Okay.
Up until this point, Trish has been both a dame and a broad. Now we have to make these 2 women fight to determine which one of them has to be the broad.
I just assumed that. Oh, by the way, Jess is a Navy veteran. Trish is going down. But
yeah. You know what?
Let's be real.
If I had a white flag, I'll just wave it.
Also, Jess is very tall. Trish is very short. So, having stood in the presence of both these ladies, I can tell you right now, this is not a fight that's lasting very long. No, I can.
We're complete opposites. She's all like tough and tall, and he's like me, like.
I felt when before the show when Trish showed up and saw there was another woman here, I could definitely tell this was exact reaction of Trish.
I was lovely. How dare you?
You were.
Right?
I'm kidding.
Sow the seeds of discord.
They're
I
trying.
rarely have estrogen backup.
You do.
And this is what you're doing.
You are not alone.
They're trying to sow the seed. I'm laughing because we were talking about Gina earlier, Marvin, and I actually had a friend on my last deployment who was an MMA fighter and about the same height as Gina Carano, and as soon as you guys said, "Oh, we got to make them fight to determine," I was just laughing, thinking the last time that I did sparring with another lady, it was humorous because I'm about half a foot taller and just like, let's not do this.
Mm-hmm. You were taller than me, I think, when we hung out at MegaCon.
I am Larg. Yes, thank you.
But yes, going back to Hangry's question, Superman Legacy trailer in 3 weeks. I am actually pretty nervous about it, mostly because Clark Kent looks like this. And Tony Khan looks like this, and they look way too much alike for my taste. Also, as Superman, he looks like this, and I don't know how I feel about that. Kevin Apollo, how are you feeling about this?
Do you really want me to go first? I'm having a very emotional week.
Lauren,
why?
First?
I can't because I was signing into the chat and I didn't see any of the pictures.
Oh, okay. Hold on, Lauren. I can do it again. So Clark Kent looks like this. Tony Khan looks like this, and that's way too close for comfort. And Superman looks like this with that symbol. So what do you think, Lauren?
Well, actually, I was thinking that Clark looked like that guy from the IT crowd. That's kind of awful. I'm not excited really about anything that I'm seeing come out of James Gunn. I kind of was when he was brought over to DC, but I've heard him announce and backpedal and change his mind about things enough that I'm kind of starting to get the impression I'm not sure he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, it's very possible. I mean, look, we're going to get into a story in a little bit that's actually going to kind of point out that maybe he doesn't really know what he's doing, because there's a situation that I covered this week where I was like, really, man? Because he can't seem to make up his mind about what is and is not a part of his new DC universe. And of course, anything that he himself has worked on, whether it makes sense that it be canon or not, damn the torpedoes, especially if his wife is in it. Though I will say, talking about John Kent being MI in the Superman comics, I do have to say, guys, Superman and Lois this season has been tremendous. It's the last season. There's only 2 more episodes to go. And by the way, guys, we're about to have a first happen here because somebody is going to pop in while their super chat is actually on the screen. It's Hangry Table.
I'm changing my name to disgruntled. I'm just changing my name to disgruntled Ottoman. I love that. Who said that?
Yeah, I said it originally, and then Trish reiterated.
That's amazing.
I said something last. I think I said something last week, like, "Oh yeah, Nolan and Martin, you guys do that show with the disgruntled Ottoman."
Thank you, Trish. I'm stealing that.
But Hangry, your opinions on? Have you been watching Superman and Lois?
You know what? I kind of dropped out after the 3rd season because I heard the 4th one was going to be about him not having powers.
Wrong.
And like they cut like 78% of the cast, which might not have been a bad thing. But is it good? Is it worth watching?
Yes, he has powers for the entire. Yeah. Well, I mean, they do the death of Superman. Lauren says mildly irritated cabinet.
Footstool.
So he's not in the first couple episodes except for flashbacks because he's dead.
Okay.
Because the last season ended with him fighting Doomsday, and obviously you know how that ends. They did the death of Superman and the resurrection in a way that I've never seen done before, and I really liked it.
Really?
Yeah, I really dug it. I liked the kind of like weird Kryptonian science that they used for it. Yeah, I'm very pleased with it. I think the acting all around, and so here's the best thing about it is the big detraction point for this show for me was much the same as my detraction point for Smallville, which was Lana Lang, and mostly the people the people that surround Lana Lang in this is her Lana Lang family. Everyone that's not a Kent or Lex Luthor has been downgraded to recurring guest star.
Right.
And so only the core like family and Lex are in every single episode, and it's so much better. I mean, the others still they pop up, but it's less.
That does sound like it's actually a lot better. The reason why I was a little lukewarm on it was because of the fact that there was a TV show that that Martin Nolan and I talked about just recently called Airwolf, and it was awesome for 3 seasons. It was like this attack helicopter in the 80s, and then in the 4th season, they moved production to Canada, got rid of the chopper, and just like basically used this cut and paste method with about a budget of $10 per episode, and it was just abysmal. And so when I heard that the same thing was happening with Superman and Lois, I thought, oh no, this is gonna be Airwolf Part 2.
No,
I love how you're talking about this like this is ancient history while I vividly remember this show.
You know what? I am going to I'm going to show you a very quick clip from Superman and Lois and just how good this season is, and then I'm going to cut it off at a point where you're all going to hate me. So here, I'll show you. Hold on. Here, I'll fast.
Something happened. We know it was you. I don't follow. You harassed my family. You killed my father-in-law. Now you try to kill my friend and her 16-year-old daughter. Again with these false accusations. You and your wife need to stop trying to set me up. Stop lying! Your friend Otis is in custody, and we will make him talk. We'll see about that. This is over. We are going to end you. You're going to end me. Try doing it without powers.
Oh.
And that's all you get.
Oh man! Okay, I'm watching this now.
Yeah.
I didn't know Luthor had a ZZ Top beard too. That's even better.
This is my Lex Luthor. This is my Lex Luthor because he's still a genius, but he's a bruiser. He's Blue Jeans Lex, and
he looks like he belongs in some roadside bar, just having shivved someone.
He gets out of prison. And he gets out of prison and literally walks to Smallville to tell Lois Lane that she's a piece of crap.
Wow.
like it. Oh, it's just so good. I mean, and they throw down in that scene. First of all, I'm like, when did he replace all the streetlights with red sun lamps? But you know,
years ago, because it's Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
Just in case. So one day I'm gonna want to fist fight this dude, so I'm gonna buy all this property. I'm gonna let it run itself. The only thing I need to do is just put red
sun generators.
That's it. I don't need you to do anything else. I'll leave you alone, live your life. Just make sure this is done. Just in case I have this whim.
I didn't know Smallville had better light bulb maintenance than Epcot these days. This is great.
It does, yeah.
Really. Marvin. Okay, who would win in a fight here? Would it be this Luthor or Jesse Eisenberg's Luthor? Let's go.
This Luthor would open Jesse Eisenberg like he's a bottle of Coke.
This Luthor is giving Jesse swirlies in the bathroom.
Swirlies.
Oh, he's so good. He's so good. I mean, like, and in pure Lex Luthor fashion, he has an opportunity this season to get everything that he wants, as long as he stops trying to destroy the Kent family and just completely is like, nope.
Can I tell you that is one the end of the, what was it? That it wasn't the Black Orb story arc when Lex was given Action Comics for a couple months before New 52 ruined everything. He goes on this fantastic journey. They meet this super deity, and it's like, hey, I will cure all disease. I will remove all horrors from the world. You guys will live in absolute paradise. The only thing I need you to do is promise that you will leave Superman alone. And because the entire planet is dialed in to it, and everyone's like, this is easy. And the Joker goes, oh, please tell me he's going to make the right choice.
We all know what Joker thinks the right choice is.
Yeah. And then Superman goes, oh my goodness, Lex, you have to do this. And then Lex fashion goes, don't you tell me what to do. I'll never stop wanting to kill you. And he blows it all. Blows it all.
My favorite.
I knew he'd do the right thing.
My favorite comic book Lex Luthor moment is when he hires this guy to build this supercomputer to tell him who Superman is. Oh. And the computer spits out Clark Kent. And Lex has the guy killed for wasting his time.
Man, I think it's Man of Steel number 4.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Oh. Oh my goodness!
Scientist, because he's like, it could never be this little dweeb. It's impossible.
Okay. So part 2 to my question then: this Luthor versus Nicholas Hoult as Luthor.
Still, this Lex beats the pants off any Lex that's ever existed, with the exception of maybe Clancy Brown.
Even Michael Rosenbaum.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
You're talking about in a fight. Yeah, no, in a straight up fight, Bruiser Lex beats all.
Right. Okay. Sure. If you're talking about a street fight, but what about as Lex?
Oh, as Lex. Honestly, he's really good. I mean, he might be my favorite Lex Luthor of all time. John Cryer is up there, but Michael Rosenbaum is also up there. You know, I wish somebody would give Michael Rosenbaum another at bat as Lex Luthor, but yeah, I just. I don't know where Martin went.
He reminds me of that's the Silver Age Lex. It was a little beefier. He was a little beefier. You know, didn't like he had this like not like the Hostess foiled again Lex Luthor, but like I'm still a scientist and I just live the pester Superman. We had another one of those fantastic random Silver Age stories where Lex pretends to go straight. He cures cancer. Lex cures cancer, and it's this whole big thing. He's living like decades of his life as this renowned hero, and the hook is the only reason he cured the cancer was because he needed Superman to go into space, and when he went into space, the Cure like interacted with something with the sun, and it poisoned Superman and killed him. So he did this super long con just to make Superman sick, and it was like one of those weird little off, like, what if this thing happened? But I'm like, another brilliant Lex Luthor plan. I'm gonna do this one tiny thing. That payoff is gonna come 40 years later. But as long as I can say I got you, it was worth it.
By the way, there's a narrative in the chat that I don't like Smallville. No, I love Smallville. Smallville's my favorite show of all time.
I think
Kevin Apollo. Yeah, Kevin Apollo hates Smallville.
I hated Smallville. The entire first half, and then came around when everybody else decided they didn't like it. I was like, oh, I can watch this now. Mostly because I think Lana was gone, and we were mostly out of Smallville, and became a little more comic book. You know what? It was they did something that I thought was very cool at Doomsday. And I was like, okay, I'll give this a chance. And then like Jeff Johns was writing more episodes, and I was very into Deathstroke John McCain.
Deathstroke John McCain. I loved him. I forgot about him.
They started bringing in the JSA and doing all kinds of pretty neat, cool stuff. And I was like, all right, I can rock with this final.
Kevin, that's a really, really long way of saying Erica Durance.
Yes.
She is wonderful.
Yes, Erica Durance. it actually, I think, is the quintessential Lois Lane.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
I no one's beaten her yet that I've seen.
To me, it's still Terry Hatcher, but yeah.
Oh yeah. You're right. Yes.
Don't forget Michael Ironsides as General Lane too. He was pretty good.
Yeah, he was. Now, look, Lana. I like Lana for the first couple of seasons, but then we got to the point where Lana was the linchpin of everything. Every episode was Lana has a stalker. I like her in the first 2 seasons. Once Lois showed up, I'm like, okay, get off the Clark Lana stuff because Lois is in play now, and like we know Clark and Lana don't end up together, so stop wasting my time with more of it. There were just a bunch of things. They made her character when she was turning into a witch every like 8 episodes, and like I was like, okay, you're out of ideas for her. Like you're out of ideas for her.
Lana's a witch this week.
Maybe we should adopt this as like a rule for any type of movie or TV series: is when witches are introduced, you're at the end of your storytelling rope.
Yeah, seriously.
We should call this
spoken like a man being forced to watch The Acolyte.
It's some kind of a theorem. I don't know what you would call it, but it's got to be some kind of a theorem.
Replace a shark with jump the witch or something.
It's the Anastasia theorem. We call that. How about that, Lauren?
Well, Smallville had a lot of it had a lot of goodwill with me. I stuck through it through the entire 7-8 seasons, whatever it was. But it was the very last episode that completely soured me on it because the entire time you're waiting for the money shot, like the costume, right? And they never did that. They had a CGI Tom Welling, his head on some puffy body off in the distance. That's it. And then afterwards you find out that it was Welling who stepped in and said, no, we don't want to actually have I don't actually want to put the costume on even in those last 5 minutes. And that just left such a bad taste in my mouth. Now he's saying oh yeah, maybe I'd like to do it. Maybe I was wrong and whatnot, but too little too late.
Yeah,
I got so annoyed when they brought him back in Crisis on Infinite Earths because they brought him back and he doesn't have his powers anymore. And he's like, oh, sorry, I can't help you stop Lex. And I'm like, no, I've watched 11 seasons of this show. That's not how this goes. This is a trip to the fortress and a very uncomfortable conversation with Jor-El, and then he gets his powers back.
Well, the theory on that, though, was that he was wearing some sort of ring or watch, or there was something on his arm that some fan noticed, and it had the type of kryptonite that blocks your powers. So
the blue kryptonite.
The blue kryptonite. So if that was actually the case, the real Clark Kent from Smallville would have just been all right, takes off the ring, tosses it to the side, and then he's good to go.
Yeah. Martin, welcome back.
Thank you. Sorry, I had to get away. I thought Denzel's character from Gladiator was coming for me.
All right, guys. Well, speaking of DC, we do have another story about DC here. James Gunn has claimed that Peacemaker is once again canon to the DC cinematic universe, with one exception. Now, of course, previously James Gunn had claimed that. By the way, I just love this like shot from the intro of Peacemaker. It's so perfect. I've not watched all of Peacemaker yet. I do like it quite a bit. The bit that I saw. But yeah, so DC can't seem to make up its mind about what it wants to keep in discard from Zack Snyder's failed DC Extended Universe. Now, James Gunn claims that his Max original series Peacemaker is canon to his new DC continuity after previously claiming that it wasn't. Well, canon with the exception of one scene. Peacemaker was one of the final canon Snyderverse projects DC released. The Suicide Squad spinoff was helmed by James Gunn himself. The series saw the WWE's John Cena return as the titular character for an action-packed adventure that received mostly positive reviews. However, its timing was unfortunate, hitting TV screens just before Gunn wiped the Snyderverse from existence, editor's note, good riddance, to make way for his new continuity. Guys, I might be a newsman with journalistic integrity, but I will never look up. I will never back away from a chance to talk about how much I hate Zack Snyder. The restructuring came with both positive, getting rid of Ezra Miller, and negative, getting rid of Henry Cavill, moves by the studio. But while it was announced that Peacemaker would return for a second season, Gunn had previously stated the first season existed within its own continuity separate from his new cinematic universe. Now, Gunn was asked on Threads back in March 2024 whether everything in Peacemaker takes place after Superman, his upcoming reboot of DC's greatest hero. And it says, including season 1, he said season 1 isn't canon, but no. And then let's look ahead about what he said. In a interview with Scott Kalura of IGN, he said the truth is almost all of Peacemaker is canon, with the exception of the Justice League scene, which we will kind of deal with in the next season. Now, this is, of course, the scene at the very end where John Cena's Peacemaker encounters Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and Flash. And Aquaman and Flash were played by Ezra Miller and Jason Momoa directly. Guys, you can't pick and choose what's canon and what's not. It's either all canon or none of it's canon. And James Gunn is playing way too fast and loose with what is and is not canon in this universe, and that is a thing that fans are not going to stand for.
No, you're actually making it worse.
Mm-hmm.
This is the major misstep. I like this. This just I knew this was going to happen, and mark my words, this is not going to end well.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't just bad for the fans. It's also horrible for the common moviegoer too, because I will vouch that I believe that I think the masses are smart enough in this day and age to know, okay, this series with Spider-Man, for example, is canon to this timeline. This one's canon to this timeline. The actors change or something of the matter. But when you start saying things like, well, this is kind of canon, but not this scene and this scene, then you're just going to lose interest from a casual fan in an instance because they don't want to do the homework for it. I don't think that'll work.
It's too much. It's too much. It's all or nothing. And honestly, it's like why are we making such a big deal over this? Just you got new actors. We're moving on. It's
because he likes the cast and his wife is in it. Just like Viola Davis is continuing. We can't keep Henry Cavill, but we can keep Viola Davis.
I know.
Well, that's it. Like, why did they jettison Henry Cavill then? Like, this completely eradicates the entire argument that they put forward for doing so and for treating him so horribly. I mean, it's just, this really. I'm not surprised. I'm disappointed.
Mm-hmm. To be fair, can you think of anybody else that you would want to play Waller, though?
Zendaya.
You're fired.
She is a good Waller.
CCH Pounder was if CCH Pounder was younger, or maybe Angela Bassett, but that's about it.
See, I like my Amanda Waller like Kingpin size, the way she is in the comics.
But do we even need Amanda Waller right now? Like,
no, probably not.
Why? Like,
because Marvel has Nick Fury.
That's Marvel succeeded in making Nick Fury into Amanda Waller, and in turn DC had to overexpose Amanda Waller and make her Nick Fury.
Like, I mean, we don't have Aquaman yet. We don't have. Do we have Green Lantern? Yeah, I think we do have Green Lantern now.
We don't know who it's going to be, but we know that there is a Lanterns TV show that's going to be coming, I believe.
I think Kyle Chandler is in it.
Yeah, he's one of the Lanterns.
Yeah, we have Hal. Isn't it supposed to be Hal and John together?
I think so. Yeah.
We don't have Flash yet.
Yeah.
So why? Like, I just it seems that the priorities are they're already kind of shooting themselves in the foot right out of the gate.
And on top of that, we have so like the cartoons count. Well, they just announced that they're doing the Nightfall trilogy. So our Batman has already encountered Bane and had his back broken by the time we get to whenever the dynamic duo comes out.
He's also said that Creature Commandos is going to be like vital to understanding the new DC universe, and I'm like, nobody's going to watch that, James. It's an animated series on Max that with characters that nobody knows.
That's what he's good at. That's what he's good at. If you give him something that's like this iconic thing, it's like you're tying him into too much, and he just can't work like that.
Yeah, which has been my worry with Superman. I would say James Gunn has not given me much of anything that says that he can handle coloring within the lines of a major tentpole, major franchise character. He was able to do with whatever he wanted with Guardians of the Galaxy, much to the ire of hardcore Guardians fans, and it happened to work. But Superman is a whole different beast. Again, I'm trying to be forgiving of the costume and assuming that it's designed for whatever CG we're going to throw into it. Although Superman should look like he's actually painted into his costume and not like he's auditioning for a crisscross reunion. The even just the costuming in general, it looks worse than the CW shows. When Legends of Tomorrow gives me a better looking Hawk Girl than how much is probably a $250 million movie. What is going on? I just Guy Gardner's. I love Nathan Fillion. Oh my God, did they do him dirty? Why does Guy have the Mo Howard haircut? It wasn't even Guy's original look. There's just, I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic, but when it comes to DC projects, I have just decided that the fewer expectations I have, it will probably equate to the least amount of heartbreak I endure while watching it happen.
Mm-hmm. Wait, was it Nolan? You were talking about in our private chat who you think would make a good Jon Stewart.
Yes, Avery Brooks. What do you guys think? He's up there a bit in the age, but maybe I'm just 90s blind. But I'm like, I can see it. I can see it.
You're just all about the Star Trek.
Well, actually, Spencer for Hire Avery Brooks was awesome as Hawk. Did
you ever watch A Man Called Hawk? Spin-off TV series.
It's in my Tubi right now.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch Street Hawk?
I watched Street Sharks. Does that work?
oh, that's a deep cut.
Yeah, I had the Street Shark toys. Yeah.
Seriously?
Jess, are you a DC fan at all?
I am, but I feel vanilla compared to you guys because I'm more of like a Justice League Unlimited animation, side of the house. So I love Mr. Krabs as our titular villain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Justice League Unlimited though. I mean, there was a man, and that was. You want to talk about a place where Amanda Waller was used perfectly? Was those animated shows? They got the dynamic with her and Batman down perfectly.
Yes.
Remember when she got out of the shower and Batman was standing in her bathroom?
Yes.
Gives her the towel
up.
I thought she was used really well in that Terry McGinnis episode.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Speaking of which, I brought up. Yeah, you're going to talk about it?
Yeah, go ahead, Lauren. Go ahead.
I shared on our back channel chats the other day this live action Batman Beyond short fan film, and it just kind of came out of nowhere for me. I don't know if people had been talking about it, but it was really good. I really enjoyed it.
I can't believe how
Beyond
amazing
Year
that
One.
costume was. So good.
Yeah, it was Batman Beyond Year One was the title, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that was it. Yeah.
Yeah, Kev, did you get a chance to take a look at it?
Yes, I got to see it before I was excommunicated from my Twitter.
Yes, we have to add you into all the back channel chats again. But yeah, for those of you that haven't seen it, I'll give you guys a little taste of it. I turned the volume off because I don't know anything about the music that they use, but let's see. I was very impressed. I was very impressed with the suit. Very impressed with just how is it possible that they were able to make it look this good and the studios can't make it look this good?
Well, they perfectly cast Terry too. I don't remember what the actor's name is, but he was perfect for Terry.
Mm-hmm.
This is the best Batman suit we've had since 1991. Like,
and I'm glad they covered them. I'm glad yes, and I'm glad they covered the mouth, because I always said that's the only real way to do Batman Beyond in live action is to have the mouth covered and give him the Spider-Man like mask.
Definitely.
I mean, look at that. I love watching him when he flies in this. It's just so good. Look at that.
It's too bad actors don't want their faces covered, because there's so many great characters that shouldn't have faces on screen.
You know what? Good for Ryan Reynolds for not caring about his face with Deadpool, because I think we all know that if Deadpool spent most of the movie without the mask on, it would not be nearly as good.
Same thing for Carl Urban. He
Dredd,
rocked Dredd, man. He rocked Dredd. I was like, no, I'm not taking off the helmet. He doesn't take it off in the comics. I'm not taking it off in the movie.
If only Halo had that restraint.
Let's take a minute to say about how well shot that whole production is for everyone who goes to check it out. Like, they, of course, utilize CGI very well for, the big city spots they had to, but it actually uses practical effects extremely well. There's a whole warehouse fight scene, and it's probably the most impressive Batman thing I've seen since the Arkham games. And that's about as good of a sign off on it as I can give. I feel like everybody in the audience needs to watch this after the show, because it is a great Batman. And the Batman Beyond cartoon was good, but I was never on cloud nine over it. And it just is a love letter to every Batman fan out there. It is worth and shows the power of a fan creation and where the future really lies compared to Hollywood.
So Batman Beyond. Can we agree if Rocksteady got their act back together that the next Arkham game should be Batman Beyond?
Oh yeah,
agree.
With a Neo Gotham, come on. I mean, but they can't get their heads out of their butts, which is a great segue into our next story. But before we get there, I have a couple super chats I have to get to.
You have a story about heads in people's butts?
I do all the time. Lauren, I write about Hollywood for a living. Every story that I write is about people with their heads in their butts. John JID 999 for 199. Who will fight to get the prestigious title of Toots? I guess in the battle of
I'll fight for Toots. I want that title.
So I have my great aunt. We call her Aunt Toots. Because my great uncle always called it Toots, and we just started calling her that. John Williams for $4.99. Tony Khan's going to be confused. How much cocaine did he do to forget that he played Clark Kent? It's time. It's just Time Cop. It's Tony from the future because his favorite movie is Time Cop. Denisha Lane, member for 2 months, says, "Hey Marvin, I enjoy your channel. You're the goat." No, you are the goat, Denisha Lane. I love you very much. You're a great supporter of the channel. All bee booty bees and bacon with big. Wow, that's a name. That's a name and a half, my friend. For $2, says, "I am excited for season 2 of Peacemaker." I am too. I mean, I got to finish season 1, but I liked what I saw, and I'm always excited for John Cena to get more Hollywood work. What?
This is everything. The AVI, the name, it just.
I was gonna say I live with the Avatar.
It just filled me with just so much joy.
I'm glad that you have joy from my pain.
It's the world's most famous New Zealand member of parliament.
Yes. Just one of those things that I couldn't even bring myself to watch. Liquid Fox for $5 Canadian says, "For Batman animations, Under the Red Hood is fantastic. I highly recommend it if you guys haven't seen it." Yes, I really like Under the Red Hood. That's a really good one. I really liked Son of Batman and Batman versus Robin.
Oh, yeah,
I like that. I like that whole string of DC movies that all shared the continuity, the animated films that started with Justice League War and then went to Apocalypse War. Apocalypse War was insane. because it was just like the darkest story I'd ever seen in anything.
Yeah, I'm a little sad the Brand New Day stuff didn't get enough love, but they wrapped it really nicely. Again, I highly recommend the Crisis of Infinite Nerves 3-parter. Definitely really good.
I still haven't watched it. But John Williams for $5 also says the studio that did Arkham Origins almost did a Batman Beyond set in the Arkham universe, but were told to do Gotham Knights instead. Well, if they were going to make Batman Beyond and it was going to be like Gotham Knights, then I'm glad they didn't do Batman Beyond. I do like Arkham Origins quite a lot, though. I think Arkham Origins is the strongest story. It's not the strongest game, but it is the strongest story of the Arkham stories. So I think, anyway, I think it's the best. I know it's terrible to say because, you know, Kevin Conroy wasn't in it, Mark Hamill wasn't in it, but I think it's the best acted of them all. I think Troy Baker actually is a better Mark Hamill Joker than Mark Hamill at this point,
including politics.
I'm going to commit sacrilege here and say that I actually like the voice actor in Arkham Origins for Batman better than Kevin Conroy. I always thought that he did a great Bruce.
He was fantastic.
It was Roger Craig Smith who voiced Batman in that game, the same guy who voiced Sonic the Hedgehog.
And from what I understand...
Really? Yeah, I believe so. I'll double check, but I'm 99% sure.
From what I understand, he's also the one that did the voice of old Bruce in that Batman Beyond fan film.
I was going to say we could get him to do old Bruce, and I'm sure Will Friedel's still out there willing to do Terry.
If they did Robotnik, your time has come.
It was Roger Craig. It was him.
If they did a Batman Beyond game and actually got Will Friedle to play Terry McGinnis, that would be the greatest thing they've ever done.
And by the way, let him be Leonardo. Someone, somewhere, please.
Yes, someone please let this man be Leonardo. It's the one thing he hasn't done that he wants to do. Somebody let him do it, please. My goodness. All right. So speaking of Rocksteady, we've got another story to get to. The Squad Kill the Justice League's $100 deluxe edition now on sale for just $5.
If I paid $100, I'd be livid.
Sweet Baby Bomb hits new low. The massive bomb, The Squad Kill the Justice League, which brought the antics of narrative design firm Sweet Baby Inc. into the light, has hit a new low, both in terms of failure and pricing. The Suicide Squad Kill the I said the word. The Squad Kill the Justice League Digital Deluxe Edition, originally priced at $100, is currently on the Epic Games Store for just $5. Since the beloved Rocksteady Arkhamverse, Kill the Justice League is one of the most epic video game fails in history, or set in the beloved Rocksteady Arkhamverse. It lost Warner Brothers an estimated $200 million and caused mass layoffs at Rocksteady. The Squad was heavily influenced by Kim Belair's Sweet Baby Inc., so much so that the controversial narrative design consulting firm had its own marked section in the game's end credit sequence, which you can see right here. The Squad Kill the Justice League Digital Deluxe Edition launched at a price of $100. It features Justice League outfits for the Squad, 3 notorious weapons, 4 weapon dolls, 1 battle pass token, and 4 color swatches. The $5 price point is only available on the Epic Games Store. Steam, PlayStation, and Xbox stores still list the title at $99.99. Additionally, only the Digital Deluxe Edition is $5 on the Epic Games Store. The base version of the game is still listed at $69.99.
It's honestly
Weird,
impressive
right?
to do everything wrong.
I know, right?
It's actually it's amazing because like you would have to feel like a complete idiot to pay $100 for this to begin with. Like there's no way you could top that. And then they go and they do that by making it $5. It's wow.
All right, we forming a narrative design company. Kevin, you're the CEO and face of the company.
Oh, I love it.
The way you feel like a bigger idiot is being the guy who buys the standard edition at $70 instead of the $5 deluxe edition.
Can we call it Sour Adult Incorporated? Sour Adult Ltd.
Sour Man Limited.
Yeah.
Saruman Limited.
Ooh, Saruman. Yes. Oh, yes. And we can make it. See, that's
Sawaman.
Yeah.
Can you work with Gretel Ottoman in there somewhere?
We'll pretend Kevin's Jamaican.
I was going to say that's not a Jamaican.
Oh my goodness!
But this is the game. This is the game where
every conversation.
This is the game where like Boomerang urinates all over the corpse of the Flash, right?
Yes. And Batman is killed by Harley Quinn by a gunshot to the face in an alleyway. And somehow, by the way, their whole thing on how they kill the Justice League, they just shoot at them a bunch. I'm like, oh, I wonder why nobody else ever tried to do that before.
Wow.
What the heck?
Then when they realized it wasn't going to work, whoa, we were going to resurrect them all in the final chapters of the game.
But you all complained, so now you don't get it. Like, no. And then they brought out Mrs. Freeze, the Asian lesbian Mrs. Freeze, and they did the game. Yep, and then they did like a Twinkie version of the Joker.
And how is it that you can actually string that phrase together and it leads to shrinkage?
Did you see what Mrs. Freeze looks like? Because she looks like a gym. She looks like my gym teacher.
She looks like a Concord character.
Yes, actually, she does.
So when you said Twinkie
had a couple of weeks
Joker,
ago.
I was thinking like a fat guy that ate too many Twinkies. And now I know what you're talking about.
Martin, my sweet summer child.
Hold on, I'm pulling up the actual article about Mrs. Freeze that we had on the site. Yeah, there she is in all her glory. Everyone's gym teacher. Just put 3 enormous dogs with her, and she's everybody's gym teacher.
You know, the thing is, they had such a great character design for Mr. Freeze in the various Arkham games, too. There was never a design for Mr. Freeze that didn't look awesome.
I remember when you first encounter Freeze in Arkham City, he's not in the suit. And you see the suit on its own, and I was like, oh, that suit's going to look stupid when he's in it. And then he got in it, and I was like, oh, nope, never mind.
And that boss fight, that was top tier Arkham right there. How you had to, it was basically a puzzle in itself, how you had to outsmart Mr. Freeze and how to, because he would adapt. Unlike every other boss in the history of ever, adapt to your
You couldn't
movements.
attack him the same way twice. Jess, did you play it?
I was just going to say, you guys are giving me flashbacks because one of the last times I really thoroughly enjoyed a game for the story outside of Portal 2 was playing Arkham City. And I didn't realize how big a fan I was of Batman's Rogues Gallery until I'm chatting with my friends. You know, Mr. Freeze, betrays you. And I just start freaking out going, oh my God, he's got the glasses. It was a beautiful time.
I loved the way his voice sounded when he was in the suit, how they gave it like a tinny quality that made him sound even colder and more robotic. Like I remember Mark Hamill talking about on Batman the Animated Series when they did Heart of Ice, because he played he played the villain on that episode, not the Joker. And they when they were talking to the guy that was playing Freeze, they kept saying to him, if you can, even less. Like as far as like what to do. And remember, like there was no Mr. Freeze was a gag villain at that point when Batman the Animated Series remade him, when Paul Dini reimagined Mr. Freeze as this tragic, serious, just almost Shakespearean level character. I mean, it's
Paul Dini's the GOAT, man. I
he
love
really
Paul Dini's
is.
episodes.
I can't believe no one has ever given him a Batman thing to do again. I mean, he was involved in the first 2 Arkham games, I believe. But then after that, Marvel scooped him up for a while. He was writing Hulk and the Agents of Smash, and he wrote a couple of other things for Marvel, but I don't think DC ever brought him back in. And I'm like, why? Why do you keep letting Bruce Timm do things? Bruce Timm, who said Batman's got no good villains. Like, why do you let him do stuff and not Paul Dini?
Because Bruce Timm will do whatever they tell him to do.
Yeah, that's it.
True.
That's probably why we don't see Dini working. I'm watching all these old 80s cartoons, and I keep seeing his name pop up. Like he did like a whole bunch of episodes of Superman and Real Ghostbusters. I'm like, Paul Dini has been doing so many things I love for so long. How cool is that?
He was the main guy, I think, also behind Tiny Toon Adventures, which I love. Tiny Toon Adventures. That's my favorite thing.
So Rocksteady, reach out, hit up Kevin Apollo. We've got an idea. We want to do Lex Luthor kills the Squad, where the whole point of the game is that Lex Luthor is upset they killed Superman, so he's going to kill them all.
And you play as a team of Lex Luthors. You play as Bruiser Lex, Michael Rosenbaum Lex, John Cryer Lex, and Michael, Jesse Eisenberg Lex can be in there too as the one that nobody likes.
You can even get a Lena Luthor. We'll do it and test.
Yeah.
You keep mentioning John Cryer as Lex. I remember him from Superman 4. When did he play Lex?
Oh, he was Lex
he was on
in the
Supergirl.
Arrowverse.
Yeah.
He was the final redeeming thing from the Arrowverse.
See, I never made it that far, so I didn't know that.
He came in as Lex Luthor in Supergirl, and he was so good. Just like he was the smarmy Lex. He was the smarmy super genius, the one that would cure cancer by lunchtime and then burn it so that nobody else could get it. He was that version of Lex Luthor. Actually, yeah, he gives himself cancer so that he can get out of prison and then cures himself. He was so good, and then by the end of Supergirl, they just turned him into just a straight up, MAGA misogynist, just terrible writing.
I love that as a plot. The idea that Lex actually gives himself cancer to get out of prison and then just casually cure.
I'm pretty sure that's what he did. It's been so long since I've seen it, and I will likely never watch it again. Because Supergirl was like, that was. Remember the first couple seasons, Kev? We loved that. We were like, this show's great.
It was so good.
All the time. I was watching it with Novi, and she was still little. And the scene where Kara catches the plane, and she was
in the first episode.
Yeah, she was just astonished by what she was seeing, and it was such a very special moment for me because you get to geek out and you're watching your kid geek out and you're like, God, I got her. And then the show devolves into what it devolved into, and I'm like, why do you guys have to ruin everything?
Mm-hmm. Because eventually they let Berlanti do whatever he wanted, and he started doing. I don't understand how Superman and Lois is this good. Because, but based on everything we saw with how the Arrowverse evolved, from where Arrow got to eventually, where Flash got to eventually, where Supergirl got to eventually, I don't understand how it's this good. Trish, yes,
I do. As the person who loved Legends of Tomorrow, they're not paying attention to Superman and Lois. That's why, because they never paid attention to Legends of Tomorrow ever. And somewhere early on, that show went, they're not paying attention to what we're doing anyway. Let's just do whatever we want. And the show, it is insane. And it was so fun. And the only drawback to that was they paid so little attention to it that they didn't care about canceling it on a cliffhanger.
Mm-hmm.
That was the only problem with it. But for years, it was like it wasn't there to them. And that show just did whatever it wanted. And it was so fun.
And they technically got weeded a little bit because I think didn't he knowing that the show could have potentially not been renewed, right now, if we make it on a cliffhanger, they'll give it to us.
Yeah. I think with them it was more of like a hedging their bets kind of thing, and they just lost,
I thought weedening was where you lied to your wife that all the women around you were just friends because you're a feminist.
That's true. But I'm really surprised that Superman and Lois, the John Kent character, I'm so surprised they never followed. Well, they never started to harmonize him with the comics, because I was certain we were going to see this pink-haired guy show up in the third season, and take it from
Hangry,
there.
I was waiting for it. I was waiting for it, Hangry. I was waiting for it the whole time. I said when they said there were two sons with Jonathan and Jordan, I was like, all right, which one of them is it going to be?
Yeah,
and they're neither of them. I was shocked.
Yeah, no, I still can't get over it.
I can probably spend 7.5 hours and only scratch the surface on the 4 billion reasons why I detest the name Brian Michael Bendis. It is like cancer in my veins anytime someone mentions him. What he did to John Kent is I would say it's tantamount to a war crime. I want him sitting in Nuremberg for what he did.
Kevin, as the one of only 3 people on the planet that likes the Marvel character the Sentry, who Brian Michael Bendis completely ruined. Him moving on to John Kent was like my worst nightmare.
like we get Jor-El back. Okay, I'm like, I'm cool with it. Then he takes John. We're gonna age him up because meanwhile, everybody on the planet loves 9-year-old John, loves John and Damien together, loves the Super Sons. Bendis has got to ruin it because it's what he does. It's taken the X-Men 25 years to recover, and they still haven't actually recovered. And then we give them to I'm not even going to dignify this conversation by saying their names. The current crop of uncreatives who bounce from DC book to DC book. No one ever gets fired. They just poop. They poop in a corner. Then they move over to another corner, poop in that corner. They move to another corner and poop in the corner over there until they fill the room with poop, and then go on to the next thing and then poop some more. And wonder why nobody's buying books. It's what they did to John is just it's criminal, and they don't understand why the fans hate it. And I'm like, well, I don't understand what you don't understand. Everybody liked the 9-year-old boy with superpowers, not the pink-haired activist who is John Kent in name only. It's so stupid. It's so stupid, and I can't rant about it the way I need to rant about it because we'll be demonetized so fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so fast.
I appreciate you holding your tongue on that one. I'm just looking in the private chat. Jess, you're saying that Paul Dini invented Freakazoid?
Yeah, as far as I know, he was the guy who was like the main force behind Freakazoid, which, of course, I'm sure everyone here is a fan of that in some way, shape, or form. And after Freakazoid, it's almost like word got out that this guy's way too powerful. We cannot let him, direct another series. And he was just kind of bit parts after that. Just individual, episodes. I guess maybe he was really busy with the video game scene because, yeah, the last thing I really remember him doing, like where he had full control, was Arkham, the Arkham series.
The first two, because he wasn't back for Arkham Knight, I don't think.
No,
but you could very much tell. You could very much tell in the narrative for Arkham. I mean, the Arkham Knight showed up and everybody was like, "Oh, hi, Jason." They just threw that one out for the rest of the game, and we're all like, you should have just said it from the first 2 seconds of the game because it is so painfully obvious that that's Jason Todd.
Hundo.
But yeah, no, Paul Dini. I mean, like I said, Marvel had him for a while, but they never let him like sink his teeth into something big. Like they never gave him like you should like Paul. You get Paul Dini and you give him Hulk and the Agents of Smash. No, you should be giving Paul Dini the Avengers.
I wish Spencer was here for this because Paul Dini got to Marvel when Marvel stopped being Marvel. Like he got to Marvel when it was the condominium of refurbished concepts, not the House of Ideas. The
skinwalked corpse of Marvel.
Yeah.
What would you say was the last great animated series that Marvel put out? Like maybe like
Spectacular Spider-Man.
I was going to say Spectacular Spider-Man is the one that comes to mind.
I mean, of the first Avengers cartoon. Was Heroes?
Yes, with the always we will fight as one. I liked that.
Yeah. That was pretty good. And even the first couple of seasons of Ultimate Spider-Man were pretty good. Spectacular Spider-Man is better than Ultimate Spider-Man. But it's once they rebooted the Avengers cartoon into it was more like the movie, and it was over. It was over for Marvel Animation.
But by the way, guys, as wonderful as it was to have him, we are losing Hangry Table. So unfortunately, my friend, you did say you have to go. Why don't you tell folks more about where they can find what you're up to?
Well, let's see here. So we with Lorne, we do the genre guys, and in fact, Lorne, I was going to say, we had a comment about once you're finished with The Acolyte, doing a charity watch of the latest Indiana Jones movie and Crystal Skull back to back.
Oh,
why is everyone trying so hard to break Lorne?
Thank you. They really, really enjoy my reactions as well.
What happened was Lorne broke during Agatha, and everybody was so entertained by it. But the walls went right back up. And now they're like, we have to chip them down again to get Lorne ranting about the Charmin Bears again.
Now, look, I can tolerate Crystal Skull. I'm not as hard on that movie as a lot of people are, but part of that is because there was a different movie. If you put some pieces together, there was a much better movie in there than what we actually ended up getting. Yes. But to understand that, you have to look at some of the rejected scripts and the novelization, and that would have explained a lot of what happened in the third act of that movie. I have refused to watch Dial of Destiny. I don't want my heart broken with that one. There have been people that have tried to convince me and tell me that it's not that bad, but knowing what I know about that movie, I suspect it is that bad. So I have refused to watch Dial of Destiny. However, and I'm probably going to take some flack for this, I did pre-order the collector's edition of Great Circle.
What comes with it?
What's that?
What comes with it?
There's a steel bookcase, which is ridiculous because it doesn't come with a disc. It comes it comes with a blank journal that has Marion's kind of a I guess you would say a dedication in the front of it. It comes with a globe of the world with a little magnetic airplane on it, and you can open it up and put things inside it. It's got a little resin artifact that is from the game. I love Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones is probably my favorite cinematic character, and I couldn't pass this one up. I know I'm probably going to be heartbroken. I hope not. I'm really sad to see that Tony Todd passed away. I kind of was hoping that he would still be around to at least see the reaction to the game. I'm really excited by Troy Baker's Harrison impression. He's not perfect, but he's pretty darn good. And, you know, so far I haven't seen anything except for the behind the scenes video where you had one of the developers talking about how they're making this for a modern audience. I'm hoping they're really not, but we'll see. I have a little bit of hope alive because this is the only thing left for Indy. If they screw this up, I don't see where they go in the future.
Yeah.
When you get that collection, let us know if Marion's journal is filled with her drunken ramblings about how much she hates Indy and her dad.
Oh, no.
Hanger, you were in the middle of leaving.
Yeah, no, I was also going to say that we also do the Lost Guys with Martin and Nolan. And I just did an interview with Mr. Kevin Apollo, which I think went really well for the pro member channel. So yeah, I'm still bopping around, but I'm gonna be bopping off. So it was a pleasure talking to you guys. Thank you so much. It's always a joy to be able to participate in the esteemed company of all of the panelists. So hopefully I'll see you guys soon.
Angry, you're always welcome here. Just let me know when you can make it and you're here, buddy.
Thank you.
Bye. Cheers, Angry.
Jess, you just said this thing about this Indiana Jones hat that you in the private chat. These are things you have to say on the air because that is fascinating.
Oh, Lauren, totally agree. I am a huge fan of Indiana Jones. I mean, he's such a great character from the original films, and he was a big part of, like, you know, my childhood growing up, of course. And when I had the opportunity visiting Virginia City, which is this old west town that is almost exactly as it was back in the 1870s in Nevada, there was a hat maker there, and he's a French guy named Babelin Pascal, and he studied under the original hat maker that had been living there since the 1890s. So I was like, can I get an Indiana Jones hat? What kind of hat is that? He's like, actually, it's a custom type of hat, but I can make one for you. So I have a custom-made hat from an original Virginia City hat maker made out of pure beaver felt.
Wow.
Yeah, mine came from Optimo Hat Company in Chicago, which was also beaver felt, same style. They don't make the hat anymore. My understanding is the best indie replica hat, if you want one today, is from the Penman Hat Company, which the guy who made the indie hat for Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which for my money is the most accurate compared to the original Raiders hat, is a guy named Steve Delk, who used to hang out in the Raven forums, if any of you are familiar with those. He did a tremendous amount of research into what made the indie hat look like the indie hat. And a big part of it was that there's a slight turn in the hat, about like that, that they made when they reblocked it, and it did something kind of interesting to the brim. It actually causes kind of a little wave, a bit of a curl in the back, and then it comes down in the front, and it gives it a very distinctive look. So Steve Delk was just a fan who decided he was going to study the craft of hat making, and he went back to the Royal Haberdashery in London, the same place that you're talking about where your fellow learned how to do it, and he bought the original block, and he brought it back to the States and learned how to make these hats, and eventually he was contacted by Lucasfilm, not knowing that it was Lucasfilm contacting him. And they asked, hey, can you produce 20 of these on short notice? And he said, yes, I can. And he sent them samples. And those are the hats that were used in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. John Penman came up and was doing basically the same thing and sent some of his samples to Steve. And Steve said, I wouldn't change a thing you're doing. You're doing them exactly as I would do them. And so they kind of formed a partnership. Originally, the Delk hats were under the Adventure Built Hat Company, but now you can get them at Penman Hats, and I think they're, depending on what kind you get, they're around $700. But if you want what is probably the most accurate that you can get, that's probably where you should go.
Oh, that is phenomenal. I just love all the hat appreciation. I actually just got back from SpaceCon a couple of weeks ago, and I was wearing that Indiana Jones hat, and I was chatting with Brent Spiner, and he noticed that hat, and he's a hat aficionado, so he asked to see the hat, and I gave him the history of it. So just the fact that we've got some hat appreciation, I'm loving this.
Brent Spiner owns one of those hats from the Penman Hat Company. His photo is on the wall. So, yeah.
Amazing. No wonder he liked the hat, because he just had a lot of interest in the hat. And I was like, oh, of course. I guess that explains it.
He's a fellow fan. He owns one, and his picture is on the wall at the Penman Hat Company.
That's what you get for inviting me on Weird Connections.
I was fascinated by that entire exchange, guys. So I was just sitting back and letting it happen. I was watching Raiders of the Lost Ark a few months ago. So I was about three months ago, years old, when I made a discovery while watching Raiders of the Lost Ark. I'm sitting there and I'm watching a scene between Indy and Belloc, and I'm looking at Belloc and I'm going, what else do I know you from? Where else have you been? And then all of a sudden it hit me. I'm the galactically hated, globally reviled, universally despised. They call me Ivan Ooze. He was Ivan Ooze in the Power Rangers movie.
No
Belloc
way.
from Raiders of the Lost Ark is Ivan Ooze.
Oh my God.
Thank God I'm not the only one that didn't know this. Because I was like, how did I never put this together as a kid that Ivan Ooze is Belloc?
You see, Tommy Oliver, there's nothing that you can possess that I cannot have.
Welcome to my nightmare, Dr. Jones.
Did you know that he also appears in the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles as a totally different character?
Really?
Yes, he does. He plays an English soldier along with a bunch of other elder soldiers. In this case, he's using his natural British accent, not the French one. You'd never know it.
For the first time while watching this time, I noticed the fly go in his mouth. And I was like, wait a minute, what the heck just happened? I've been watching this movie since I was a kid, and I've never noticed this before. And then I looked it up, and I read like the whole sordid history of the fly going into his mouth and the cut that they did there. Like, just, oh my God, so interesting. So interesting.
Is it as legendary as the fly in Troll 2?
Oh my God.
I would say
Lauren,
even more.
Lauren, do you want to? I don't remember the full story. I'm sure you know it. The story of the fly with Belloc.
Well, I've heard various versions of it, but the gist of the thing is that when they're in Tunisia, which is actually supposed to be an island in the Mediterranean in the movie, you have Belloc and the column marching towards where they're going to be conducting the ceremony for the opening of the Ark, and Indy appears up on the cliffside holding a bazooka on him and threatening to destroy the Ark unless they let Marion go. And Belloc calls his bluff. And while they were filming this, they're standing there, and they've kind of made a big deal of this out of in publicity land. This fly is flying around, and it lands on his mouth and goes in. And they said that Paul was a consummate professional and that he just kept going. But the story from behind the scenes is actually no. They say that it kind of flew, it got landed on his mouth and flew away. But they thought it was a good joke to show how easy or how evil he was. So they excised a couple frames of film to make it look like the fly went into his mouth. Which version is true? I don't know, but those are the stories.
Spielberg. Oh, that's so funny. All right. Well, speaking of something that's not super funny, guys, our next story. Marvel has officially announced that Julia Garner will be playing the female Silver Surfer in Fantastic Four: First Steps.
It's kind of funny.
I mean, my first thought when I saw this was,
how many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
it's just like, how many times are they going to do this? And how many times are they going to get smacked into the dirt? How many times is it going to take for them to realize that they need to stop doing stuff like this? So after rumors in April that Disney would cast Julia Garner as Shala Bal, a female version of the Silver Surfer in the upcoming MCU film Fantastic Four: First Steps, Marvel confirmed it yesterday with an official synopsis for the movie. The synopsis reads, set against the vibrant backdrop of a 1960s-inspired retro-futuristic world, Marvel Studios' The Fantastic Four: First Steps introduces Marvel's first family. Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, played by Pedro Pascal, Sue Storm, Vanessa Kirby, Johnny Storm, Joseph Quinn, and Ben Grimm, Ebon Moss-Bacharach, as they face their most daunting challenge yet. Forced to balance their roles as heroes with the strength of their family bond, they must defend Earth from a ravenous space god called Galactus, Ralph Ineson, and his enigmatic herald, the Silver Surfer, Julia Garner. And if Galactus' plan to devour the entire planet and everyone on it weren't bad enough, it suddenly gets very personal. The action adventure also stars Paul Walter Hauser, John Malkovich, Natasha Lyonne, and Sarah Niles. Directed by Matt Shackman, produced by Kevin Feige, who I hate, and produced by Louis Esposito, Grant Curtis, Tim Lewis. Marvel Studios Fantastic Four opens July 25th, 2025. Now, it seems as though the more things change, the more they stay the same for Marvel, despite rumors out of Film Threat that Marvel head Kevin Feige had fired activist producers and writers earlier this year. Disney Marvel seems unwilling to pivot on gender-swapped heroes and a more female-focused universe. Back in April, an investor asked Disney CEO Bob Iger if it was possible for the company to stay out of politics and social agenda, and Bob said, "Our job is to entertain first and foremost. And by telling great stories, we continue to have a positive..." You know what? I'm just going to skip ahead. He lies. He lies through. He just completely lies and says they're not interested in identity politics. Soon after he made that statement, Deadline's Justin Kroll reported that Marvel would move ahead with the Shala Bal version of female Silver Surfer. First appeared in 1968's Silver Surfer #1, but then she was just the actual Silver Surfer. Norrin Radd was his love interest, and he volunteers to become the Herald of Galactus to save their planet Zen-La, and becomes the Silver Surfer. And now, instead of Norrin Radd, we have got Shala Bal. Guys, is anybody else not looking forward to this anymore?
I don't know that Okay, I like the Fantastic Four. I like the 1960s aesthetic, and yet this never got me. Maybe because I don't want to watch another Pedro Pascal, well, anything for the most part.
That's what cut my interest in this. I was like, I don't want to see another Pedro Pascal project.
I don't think this one will be another escort mission, if that's anything.
Yeah, you will be taking a child.
Go ahead, Lou. Play devil's advocate here. I'm curious to see if they have some reason that they're doing it this way. I'm not convinced that they're not going to bring in Norrin Radd, but I'm curious. I want to see how they're going to do it. That's not an endorsement for what they're doing. It just makes me curious. We're still in the middle of all of this multiversal stuff. And so it would not surprise me if what they do is they're starting this one in the 60s. So it wouldn't surprise me if they end up in the present day, and now you're seeing multiversal versions of the Fantastic Four. So what we're seeing is the alternate version of the Silver Surfer. That means who's the real one? So I guess my question for you would be, if you were going to cast the actual Silver Surfer, who would you want to play it?
I feel like the last time they did it, they got it right by casting Lawrence Fishburne, because his voice was so perfect for it. It's just it was a bad script.
I agree, but can I give you a weird choice?
Please.
How about Keanu Reeves?
He keeps turning Marvel down.
Good. I know.
He does keep turning Marvel down, but maybe Silver Surfer would be. Maybe he wouldn't want to be Point Break, bro. Like maybe he wouldn't want to be a surfer again.
I am an FBI agent.
Nothing is funnier to me than that he keeps turning down Marvel and Star Wars, but he was jumped at the chance to be a tumbleweed in the SpongeBob.
I love him.
And dove head first into Shadow the Hedgehog. The way like it came with notes to the first day of filming. Like I love that so much.
Didn't he jump up on a table when he wanted to convince people that he should be Duke Kaboom in Toy Story? I think that's the name of the character. I didn't see it. But I saw an interview with him once. And I leapt up on the table and I was like, he wanted to be in Toy Story. So,
by the way, AEW Neckbeards, the wise man of Tooney Talk Wrestling, in the chat right now says, make new characters and make a conclusion going forward. He's 100% right. He's, I'm all for being progressive, but you can't change backstory characters from 1960s Marvel. I agree 100%. And he says, Cillian, I'm sorry, I always say Cillian, Cillian Murphy would be a good Silver Surfer. I think he could be. Man, but I loved Lawrence. I remember Lawrence when I saw the trailer for Rise of the Silver Surfer. I remember seeing just when they had one line from the Surfer in the thing, and it was just Lawrence Fishburne going, "All that you know is at an end," and I was like, "Oh my goodness!" Like he's perfect. Like the voice is so perfect.
I've got a Silver Surfer for you.
I'll go for it.
Known as Jay Campbell.
Yes. Jonas showing up as the Herald of Galactus. I'm all for it.
I guess the reason I was asking is because I've never actually had an inner voice in my head for the Silver Surfer. I've never been able in my head to cast that character. And so it's always been kind of an open question for me what he would actually sound like. I agree with you that Lawrence Fishburne did a great job, but for me, that still wasn't how I pictured Silver Surfer. And I've never been able to quite put my finger on who would be the right person.
I feel like for me, that no voice Silver Surfer thing, Doug Jones could continue his legacy of playing, tall, enigmatic, silent characters in bodysuits.
Yes. Oh my goodness, that's right. Chef Eddie says they had Nova sitting right there as the Herald of Galactus too. Which, if you wanted a female Herald of Galactus, why wouldn't it just be Nova?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Jess. Did I cut you off there?
Oh well. I just we were talking about this earlier, right? The whole changing genders, it changes so much of a character, and the thing that drives me nuts about a lot of writers these days is they think, oh well, men and women are the same, so you can just switch the character. It's like you're completely changing the archetypes, the interactions, all of the subconscious, things that you associate with that character. So it goes from going the Herald of Galactus to something very different when it's a female rather than a male. And when people just say, no, that doesn't apply, it pretty much takes a giant, cinder block to the window of a big part of the story. It's very frustrating.
Yeah, it's very true. It is very, very true. Well, we let's get to some super chats really quick before we I just think about Trish, is there anything you wanted to add to the Silver Surfer conversation?
It's just that, saying Nova's right there. And it's like they think it's not about being a woman, it's about replacing a man with a woman.
Yep.
I don't know.
Absolutely.
That's offensive to me. There's a character right there. Just use her. It's not like you don't have anything and you're needing to make up for this giant hole. Just that's all. I just get the impression they think that they're being just so complimentary, and it's like, I don't know about anyone else, but I'm just super offended by it more than anything.
The money.
It kind of sounds like it's not about the money; it's about sending a message.
Yes.
Well, and then Shala Bal, I think somebody told me was only. I was talking to Master of the TDS about this, and he said she was only Silver Surfer in the comics for 4 issues. It's not even a long-standing character.
It's not a long drawn out thing. I hate going on this rant because, listen, I had full intentions on entering this week being complimentary to Kevin Feige, because apparently he was integral in giving me a very wonderful gift this week because he helped executive produce Unification.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Ooh.
And then you turn around and you do this, and it's like, oh yeah, that's right. You reminded me. You're not actually a comic book fan. You just grifted off of Jeff Johns' fan love. Evan Feige has no love of the fans. The fans are just an irritating speed bump whenever he does this stuff. The writers don't have to do any research. They don't need to know the lore. They don't need to understand the motivations, of the characters. Just open up the grab bag, pull something out. If I think it's shiny enough for a movie, you can use it. Do whatever you want. Who cares? So it's like, this is just another like kind of F you. Go ahead, be mad. We're gonna put on a movie. It's gonna make $1 billion if we're lucky. We're gonna own the chuds, and I'm gonna keep on moving.
Mm-hmm. I think what we're all trying to say is,
you can't keep getting away with it.
You're being much kinder than I would ever be.
Okay.
That's not my Twitter suspended.
that is true. Let's see. Okay, so John Williams 499 said the Batman Beyond game was going to be closer to the other games. Gotham Knights was totally restarted, including the RPG mechanics. I was so disappointed by that game. Just like Lauren said, I mean, I was very, very excited for a game where we got to play as the Bat family, and then like they bring Bruce back at the end of the game only to kill him again. And I liked at least that I had the element of choice. I didn't have to play as characters I didn't want to play as. And there in theory would have been replay value if the game had been any good, because it's different when you play it with different characters, if that makes sense. But then Rabid Wolverine LC Killer 17 for $2 says, I love Batman Mask of the Phantasm. Man, oh, it's such a good movie.
That's got to
be Batman Year 2.
Oh, hold on, one at a time. Martin, what were you saying?
That's got to be a top 5 Batman movie.
Nolan, what were you saying?
Want to know a little fun fact about the movie? So you know how in the intro, like the main theme of the movie is like all that like old school opera sounding like music. Apparently, what that is, it's the choir saying like the names of their musical group or whatever, but it's played in reverse, and that's how they got like that old Latin sounding choir effect. It's really fascinating.
That's fascinating. Oh, you were talking Paul Dini. We were talking Paul Dini. Or this is a Paul Dini film. Lauren, what were you saying?
Just that it was adapted from Batman Year 2.
Yeah. I mean, Mask of the Phantasm. It was released in theaters, and they did everything in their power to ensure that it made no money, but it actually did make money in the box.
Like about. They tried. They put it on the Happy Meal box. That promoted it, right?
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
They did more than
man.
Stacy Keach was great for the voice of that too. That was some great casting.
Mm-hmm.
They did more to promote that than Fox promoted Idiocracy.
That's very true. When I met Will Friedle, the first and only thing I said to him, because it was a photo op, so you only had like 10 seconds, is the first thing out of my mouth was, Return of the Joker is the best Batman movie of all time, and I stand by that. That's my favorite. That is, if you're talking, and I'm not even just talking the animated movie, I'm talking Batman movie. Return of the Joker to me.
Dini.
It is.
Yeah.
100%. Return of the Joker is quintessential to me. When he is trying to fight the Joker at the end, and he's realizing that he's running into walls because he's trying to fight him the way like Bruce Wayne would fight him, and he realizes he has to fight him like Terry McGinnis, and he starts mocking him. And when he's just like, what's the matter? I always thought Joker wanted to make Batman laugh. And Mark Hamill does that. You're not Batman. And like, it was perfect. And when he's choking him at the end, and he's like, laugh now, laugh. Like, I thought that movie was just absolutely tremendous. Like, you could not have been better. And I know, Mark Hamill's annoying now and whatnot, but that his performance in that was spot on. I loved how he brought the Joker down to a lower register because he wanted you to question whether it was really the Joker or not. It was just amazing from top to bottom. Just a wonderful movie. Kevin Conroy brought it in that one. I like when he goes to the cave and Bruce Wayne has the rictus grin on because he got Joker toxin. Oh, it's just so good.
It also has one of the best Joker lines ever. He told me everything, Bruce.
Oh, I love
that line. It gives me chills.
I love that. Much like the kid who peeked at his Christmas presents, I'm a bit disappointed. Underneath all the brash and batarangs, you're just a little boy crying for mommy and daddy. I love stories where the Joker knows who Batman is, because when he makes dead parent jokes, it's amazing. All through Arkham Knight, it's just dead parent jokes after dead parent jokes. He does a whole musical number about it.
I'm just nodding vehemently over here. Like,
yeah, you agree.
Everything.
It's man. John Williams for Go ahead, Kev.
All this does is just make me sad that we have another DC cinematic universe in the works, and Dwayne McDuffie and Paul Dini have nothing to do with it. Dwayne McDuffie, but like, I got stupid Tom King, but no Paul Dini.
Tom world. John Williams for $4.99 says Batman the Animated Series Freeze was inspired off another ice villain, dying life, but actually made it good. I mean, yeah, he was just. I love that what they did with that character was the greatest resurrection and reworking of a classic villain I've ever seen. Alejandro Melendez for $1.99. Paul Dini is Bill Finger to Bruce Timm's Bob Kane. Yeah, that is an apropos description. You see, Bill Finger's granddaughter is trying to get him a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Does she have 150,000? Because that's really apparently what it takes.
I think she's trying to find somebody who does, but it took a while to get Adam West's star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. So, Luke
David Zaslav, just give the guy the thing.
Yeah, for real.
Warner Brothers, Warner Brothers is probably in business because Batman movies paid bills for years.
Well, Bob Kane's estate probably hates Bill Finger, so because Bob Kane was notoriously just such a prick. Luke Koffel for $5 says, "Good evening, everyone. Who would win, Lex Luthor or Kevin Apollo's dad?" Kevin Apollo's dad wins that one.
Oh yeah. My dad's wrecking Lex Luthor.
Yeah, 100%. For those of you that don't know, Kev, for those that don't know, explain your father.
So here's a quick story about my father. We're packing up an apartment and I'm moving into my new house, and I had a random, actually a wrestling fan gave it to me, the early 2000s Ninja Turtles Leonardo Katana sword, and it's in a box, and one of my nephew walks up, and I think he's like 12 at this point in time, so he grabs the katana, and my father calls him, and he turns around, and my father kicks him in the chest. Like, just straight pump kicks him in the chest. And when my nephew goes flying across the driveway, he lands and he goes, "Always be prepared," and then just walked away.
Kev's dad.
It's pretty hard.
Yeah. Kev's dad was one of the top anti-drug cops in the country. And, we had Jamaican cartels putting bounties on him.
Yeah. A couple of hits on us from Jamaican cartels. Got to do some cool stuff, like spend time in Camp David, talking legal law enforcement policy. Does executive protection for Paramount. He stays busy. He does cool stuff. Another thing my father does is, and he hasn't done it the last couple of years, but for about a good 10 years, every July. He'd never tell you he was going. He'd just be gone. Just gone. "Dad, where are you?" When he pops back up, "Oh, well, it's my time. I go into the woods." He became friends with all these special forces guys over the years. And they go into the mountains of Pennsylvania, and they big game hunt with bows and arrows, and then play with all the new weapons aren't necessarily available to the public. And then when that was done, he would go to some random island and participate in a martial arts tournament to just see how he did. And then
that's Mortal Kombat.
So I was going to say your father is Jax Briggs.
They're like, you want the Hans Island and didn't tell anybody?
It has begun. Dad, where are you? What's that I hear behind you? It has begun. Sorry, man. You're about to lose service.
Can you get a Johnny Cage autograph for me?
Oh my goodness. I love your father so much. He's the best. Also, guys, I gifted 5 Tooney Town TV memberships, so congratulations to all of our new members there. John Williams for $4.99 says, because Marvel and Star Wars contracts for multiple films. Oh, he's talking about why Keanu Reeves isn't signing up for Marvel and Star Wars, because they contract for multiple films. Portman tried to get out of her deals. Those roles, except for Shadow, are clearly one-offs. I would say that's probably true.
Don't apply logic to this. It's way funnier if it just feels like Keanu Reeves is turning down things like Star Wars to do Tumbleweeds and SpongeBob movies. You know?
Never let the truth get in the way of a good legend.
Right.
Yeah.
As to his mystique.
And Samuel Main gifted 1 Tooney Town TV membership. Thank you very much, Samuel Main. We appreciate you here. And congratulations to whoever got that membership. All right, guys, moving along, we've got some Star Wars stuff to talk about, which I want to make sure we get to while Lauren is still here with us. This was a big one that we covered on That Park Place as an exclusive this week. And so, it was announced on X, but we got the inside scoop by talking to the writer directly. Gina Carano has returned to Star Wars lore. New Lucasfilm publication includes Cara Dune. So the shock of many, Gina Carano appears in the new Star Wars encyclopedia published by DK and released this month. However, there's absolutely no mention of any characters associated with failed Disney Plus series The Acolyte, the brainchild of Harvey Weinstein's former personal assistant Leslie Headland. Carano's character, Cara Dune, gets a large photo and a full write-up detailing her history, military service, and adventures with the Mandalorian and Grogu. Dune was prominently featured in the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian and was set to receive her own spin-off series on Disney Plus called Rangers of the New Republic. Gina Carano's inclusion in the Star Wars Encyclopedia shocked many due to her very public feud with Lucasfilm and Disney. The company failed to renew, or fired, Carano back in 2021 after she shared a political meme on X that criticized the way today's society treats conservatives. Lucasfilm maligned her on social media, leaving Carano effectively canceled by the huge Hollywood studio, or so they thought. Soon after, Carano filed an unlawful termination and discrimination lawsuit against Disney, backed by ex-owner and world's richest man, Elon Musk. Author Adam Bray, a writer for DK who has worked on the previous 3 editions of the Star Wars Encyclopedia, which was then called Ultimate Star Wars, noted Carano's inclusion on X. While the book lists Bray as an author on the project, he was not called back to work on it directly, and I'll get into that in a minute. But there you see, that's the write-up on Cara Dune, and this is the book. It's got forward by Rosario Dawson. Now, in a conversation with That Park Place, Bray alluded to a canceled Mandalorian visual guide that was pulled from production very suddenly after Carano's firing. He said, quote, "I was not involved in that, but sure smelled fishy that any book that would have included Gina was canceled right after she was fired. My guess is that it had everything to do with Gina. That had to have huge consequences for the publishers to do last minute." And Carano's inclusion wasn't the only interesting tidbit to come out of Bray's X account. He also noted that there are no characters from The Acolyte. Also, no mention of Boba Fett's ship being called Slave One. They simply call it Boba Fett's Starship. What's notable is there are a few small entries on the Ubisoft action-adventure video game Star Wars Outlaws, which released after The Acolyte's first and only season ended, which negates any claims of there being some kind of content cutoff to explain away The Acolyte's absence. So, guys, Cara Dune in, The Acolyte out. Lauren Connor, does this tell us anything?
I don't think it tells us as much as we're maybe trying to make out of it. I do think that Lucasfilm is certainly aware of the fact that they are on the wrong track. They've been aware of that for a long time, but they've been trying to deny reality. We are seeing moves being made to try and moderate a little bit, but they should have done this 5 years ago. They are in such dire straits now that I'm not sure that any level of moderation can get them to a place where the property is able to be resuscitated. The only thing that I would recommend to them at this point, besides just finally throwing in the dustbin the sequel trilogy, is ultimately what they need to do is stop working on this yourselves. License the property out to people who care about it. Let people like game publishers who don't have connections to organizations like Sweet Baby Inc. and let publishers like Dark Horse and the people that used to work at Dark Horse take Star Wars into the future, because they generated an awful lot of the lore that was integral to what became the expanded universe. Those guys knew how to do it. None of your people internally do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It's just interesting to me because as Chef Eddie points out in here, they even pulled the Lego set that her character was in real fast after she was fired. They erased Cara Dune essentially, Lauren, right?
Yeah, and there's one other thing I forgot to mention that his X post actually reminded me of. I don't know if anybody remembers. There was supposed to be a Mandalorian novel as well. There was a spin-off novel, and it was likely going to be involving Cara Dune quite heavily. And once everything went down, the novel got canceled as well, and there was a lot of speculation that was why.
One thing that I always find fascinating and is what has Lucasfilm been after the entire time since Disney purchased it? A strong female character that resonates with the fans, that the fans love, that the fans want to see, that is believable and could be a certifiable badass that runs their own, movie or television show or, franchise. They had that with Cara Dune.
Yes, they want a strong woman, but not like that.
Not an actual strong woman.
One that can be controlled and do what they want.
Right, exactly. That kind of the controllable kind of strong woman. Jess, what are your feelings on Cara Dune as a character?
I was just about to try to chime in because that is 100% correct. I got a chance to actually chat with Miss Gina right after her cancellation because we shared something about being canceled, and I'll leave it at that so we don't get political. But it's true. These people don't like actual strong women because we had a great conversation because I'm a lot like the character Cara Dune as well. It's like I was in the military for 11 years. Before that, I was a NASA educator, and I actually stood up and did a lot of these things that the people who write this stuff claim they want to see women doing. A lot like, Captain Marvel. But then I watched Captain Marvel, and that was trash too. And people are like, why don't you like that? It's like, because I'm an actual lieutenant female who, had a lot of trouble getting in and overcoming a mostly male workplace. And she acts like a bully. She's probably the worst leader I've ever seen. And Cara Dune nailed it. They wrote her so well. That's exactly what you want to see in a female in any kind of combat situation, in any kind of leadership situation. But when they actually run into a personality who lives that, they don't like it. And it's exactly as you said, because they can't control that person.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Kevin Apollo, your thoughts on Cara Dune coming back into the fold, so to speak, from a lore perspective?
Too little, too late. It's kind of a take on it. She never should have been, excommunicado. We all understand why, for the sake of not having that discussion on this channel. We know why it happened. We have a pretty good idea why she's probably coming back, considering it's most likely they're going to be writing some big old checks to her very soon. But what does this really do for fans? We lost Rangers. Mandalorian got destroyed. And I don't see anything positive for the future in terms of storytelling. And, other than watching Lucasfilm just be really bad at everything it does.
I have to wonder how this Mandalorian and Grogu movie is going to perform, because I feel like after Mandalorian season 2, if it had come out right then, it would have done gangbusters. But after the Book of Boba Fett and Mandalorian season 3, I think that fan excitement over anything to do with Mando has just kind of petered out. And I think that the collective obsession that the world had with Grogu ended the second they named him Grogu. I don't know.
My kids still call him Baby Yoda.
Yeah, everybody does, Martin.
The naming wasn't the problem. The problem was bringing him back after he had went off to trade with Luke.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because You invested me in this story of him going off to train as a Jedi, and then we just negated it immediately.
I think their big problem, besides getting rid of Gina, was that they didn't have any confidence in Din Djarin himself. They thought that the entire show was Baby Yoda because that's what everybody gravitated towards. It was such a shocking thing that nobody expected, and they were all about that. And they loved the father-son relationship, which actually is that's why they should have kept them separated. It gives you something to yearn for that reunification. They didn't earn it. And that's what killed the momentum. If they had actually had faith in the Din Djarin character, which had they shown him back, you remember when it started off and he had the Ambon phase pulse rifle, and he was like disintegrating Jawas like nobody's business,
right?
and then he's got this baby to take care of. Now, granted, he was still doing that, but he got softer as things went on because he's adapting to this father relationship. You remember that first episode in the Book of Boba Fett when he appears? You remember how that goes? He shows up in a meat cooler with the Darksaber and takes a Klatooinian gang apart because he doesn't have Grogu. He's hurting and he's angry. Had they gone with that, had they shown us what is he like now that his kid's gone, had they given us a season of that, that's what we needed. We didn't get that.
Do you think it was Go ahead. Well, do you think it was a power move on Filoni's part to have a Filoni character come in and be the one to name Grogu?
No, I didn't really read it that way, and I didn't. It's not that it's not that they named him Grogu. That was his name. It was that Ahsoka was able to essentially commune with him to read his mind to find out what the name was. No one else could have done that, No,
I get that. No, I'm not talking about like I mean like a behind the scenes sort of, because Filoni's always trying to push his characters.
He is, and that's true. But I think, to be fair, a lot of fans wanted Ahsoka to appear too. And when you're on that arc of what are we going to do with this kid, nobody thought Luke was going to show up. I mean, there are some people that said, oh yeah, it had to be Luke. I don't buy it. I don't think anybody really thought Luke was going to be the one to come.
No.
Ahsoka was the logical choice. And so it made sense for her to appear. Did Dave campaign for it? Almost certainly. But it's also, at that point, that's natural storytelling. I didn't see that as being Filoni being Filoni. That's where the story was kind of meant to go.
Yeah, never was there more a Filoni wanting to push a Filoni character in something more evident than season 3 of The Mandalorian, when it was just the Bo-Katan show. And they took a character people liked in the Clone Wars and Rebels, Bo-Katan Kryze, and they made her just insufferable. Couldn't stand it.
The thing is that Bo-Katan's an interesting character in that she is supposed to be at least a little bit unlikable. That's part of her character, is that she, while I personally, her sister Satine drove me crazy. I hated Satine. I hated the idea that she would ever be the leader of Mandalore. But Bo-Katan is the polar opposite of Satine, but she's also fickle. She says that she wants to liberate Mandalore and to bring it back to the old ways. But what she really wants is power. She is the person who should not be queen. And it's why it made sense to have Din Djarin take that role with the Darksaber, is because he is a just king. He is fusing all of the disparate Mandalorian clans back under a unified Mandalorian banner. And the Mandalorians had been so scattered with their different philosophies that they couldn't be a viable force in the galaxy because they were at loggerheads with each other. That's the story that Din Djarin should have taken, is as Mandalore the Reuniter. He should have become the new Mandalore.
He's like Star Wars Call the Conqueror, or Conan.
Exactly. Yeah. That is where I thought they were going, and that's where they should have gone. And in my head, in my head, the way I thought that the Mandalorian season finale was going to, or the series finale, I figured there was going to be a giant time jump into the future. And where we actually were was at Din Djarin's funeral. And what you were going to see was an adult Grogu taking up the role as Mandalore, telling a bunch of Mandalorian younglings the story of this Mandalore the Reuniter. And then you were going to see that the Mandalorian referred to is Grogu. The story is about Grogu. He is the Mandalorian. But Din Djarin was the one who was sort of the prodigal son returning, and reuniting these clans to make Mandalore unified once more. And in that sense, yes, you have what is essentially a Conan story. And you kind of got some visual ties to that with the Book of Boba Fett as he takes his seat on Jabba's throne. You're kind of getting some of that visual imagery, and the fact that they gave that all up to Bo-Katan, that he surrendered the Darksaber to her after they'd made all of that stuff in the lore about how you have to take the thing in battle, and then he says, "Well,
he gave it to it a loophole." Yeah, it was a loophole now.
It was so stupid and insulting to the audience who were investing in this lore.
Well, and he like gave it to her and like bowed to her, and it just was so heavy-handed. I thought when they were going with season 3 was that Bo-Katan Kryze was going to be an antagonist, and that she was going to be trying to kill him to get the Darksaber back. And yeah, I legitimately thought that we were going to get him as just this unlikely leader, as this leader that didn't want to lead, which is why he's the only person that should be the leader of Mandalore. And I saw this one amazing meme that was like, this is how season 3 is going to go. It's going to be like, no, it's going to be like, praise the Mandalore. No, guys, I'm not the Mandalore. I was just trying to get this kid and bring him back to his people. He takes the foundling as his own. Praise the Mandalore. No. I didn't want the Darksaber. I just won it from one of the most deadly Imperials of all time when I fought him with my pure Beskar saber to wrest the Darksaber from him. And just the Mandalorians are all vibrating because it's the most metal Mandalorian thing they've ever heard in their lives.
Well, part of the reason that I loved The Mandalorian is that I thought that, and we're talking out of universe here, George made a terrible mistake with the Mandalorians in the Clone Wars. He didn't like the fact that people were, in his mind, fetishizing this martial organization. And so he decided that they were all going to be Nordic pacifists, which is the dumbest thing that I think anybody had ever conceived. And it caused this giant controversy with Karen Travis, who was trying to write the Republic Commando novels at that point. She had created all of this Mandalorian lore and could not reconcile it with the Clone Wars. What John was doing was trying to find a way to go, okay, how do we tell this story so that we retain what made the Mandalorians awesome and yet still incorporate what had been done on the Clone Wars? And his way of doing that was saying, look, the Mandalorians had been shattered, and he invented this idea of the Night of 1,000 Tears and the glassing of Mandalore, and how you had all of these different disparate Mandalorian clans with slightly different philosophies. And so they were essentially a neutered force because they didn't have any significant population left, and what was left couldn't agree with each other. And so this idea that you had factions that wanted to go back to the old ways, you had some that were some of those pacifist clans. You've got the ones from Rebels who were a little bit more of the Nordic style. That's actually kind of fascinating, and it makes the culture richer. But where you're ultimately going is retconning the retcon to make the Mandalorians what they once were, a martial society that is independent of the Republic, that is a force on its own in the galaxy, that can counter the Republic and the Empire, or at least throw their lot in with whichever side they want to be the counterbalance to. So that makes the galaxy more interesting too. And they just, as far as I'm concerned, they pissed it all away.
They did. Jess, what were you saying about Battle of the Writers?
Oh, yeah. Lauren, you are talking like a proper, like, old school writer, like where they used to get in conversations and hash this stuff out. And, you'd be, what's the word? Considerate enough to follow what your what the person before you set up, even if you maybe thought you had a better idea or didn't agree with it. But the problem nowadays with so many writers coming out of college with their degrees saying, I'm a writer, I can write too, is the second they get their chance, they just retcon whatever they want and do whatever they want to do without worrying about what came before, because it doesn't enter their mind that it's gonna feel weird. They just sit there and go, what? We can do whatever we want. We can reset what we want. This is gonna be cool. Everyone's gonna love it, because they've got goldfish brain and they usually themselves can't think more than 1 or 2 seasons back or forward. So for anyone who actually enjoys a good story or can see subtext or subplots being set up and can actually go, oh, I see kind of where they're likely going to go with this. This is going to be phenomenal. Oh man, they're foreshadowing this great thing. And then it takes a hard right or left turn into wherever the heck it ends up going, and everyone goes, what? And the problem is really a lot of writers coming out just have no respect for their fellow writers.
I like that you made that point, because our next story that ties into this story, keeping with Star Wars, is another exclusive. We talked to this author who was talking about this thing. This Star Wars author was removed over DEI. Is Lucasfilm acting legally? Now, publisher DK fired longtime Star Wars co-author on the Star Wars Encyclopedia, then called Star Wars, then called Ultimate Star Wars, due to a mandate by Lucasfilm that they hire more diverse writers. Adam Bray has worked extensively on Star Wars and Marvel projects, including the Star Wars Encyclopedia and the Marvel Visual Guide. After working on 3 editions of what was then known as Ultimate Star Wars, Bray was surprised to find out that DK was moving forward with a 4th edition without him. This was particularly jarring for the writer, as he'd always received such high praise from Lucasfilm for his work. Now, he said in a discussion with That Part Place, as for my non-involvement, this was the 1st edition they didn't ask me to work on. They didn't even tell me about it, which was highly unusual. A few years back, the executive editor told me I was DK Licensing's best writer. She told me that Pablo Hidalgo told them I was also their best writer. Secondhand quote, but I believed it. So why then, with such a stellar record, and the reported approval of a Lucasfilm creative executive, was Bray not asked back for another foray into the Star Wars universe? Well, according to those he spoke with, Bray's talent had nothing to do with the omission. Rather, DK dropped him from Star Wars projects because of his race and gender. The mandate reportedly came from Lucasfilm itself. When I asked about the book, I was told Disney Lucasfilm told them to use more diverse writers. Apparently, I'm not on the diversity list of authors because I went from doing several books a year for Star Wars to suddenly none. No explanation, and I always had a stellar reputation with Lucasfilm and DK, but suddenly nobody answered my emails, though they still use my work and name to create new books. So Bray is the co-author of the latest edition of Star Wars Encyclopedia. However, he didn't work on it, nor was he paid for it. This is far from the first time such an injustice has occurred. Even this year, 4 new books from Marvel and Star Wars, this is a quote from him, that list me as co-author, he said, but I am neither informed nor compensated. That's ridiculous.
This is some dangerous territory Lucasfilm's putting themselves in. This is why they're in this whole position with Gina, this whole lawsuit going on. When you lose their job, lose their money, and they're claiming his name on this project, that's just grade A disgusting. Like, it's setting themselves up to be in court.
I believe he said something like 75% of that encyclopedia was written by him that they just put out. And they just added new stuff into it without him and charged forward. And the poor guy. And not because of it, not because of merit, not because of his talent. It was his race and his race and his gender, which is not legal. I go on to note here in the article toward the end that Title 7 of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 states that it shall be unlawful employment practice for an employer to fail or refuse to hire or to discharge any individual or otherwise to discriminate against any individual with respect to his compensation, terms, conditions, privileges of employment because of such individual's race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. So, guys, what Lucasfilm has done here, essentially, is completely illegal.
You know what's interesting about that code section there? At first, it sounds like it's specifically about employment, like W-2 employment, where you actually work for them, not a contractor. Most writers are contractors.
Yeah.
But there's this wonderful little phrase in there, or otherwise discriminate. That broadens it out.
Yeah.
Yep. So, hey, there may be a claim there.
And it's exactly what we are talking about constantly with Lucasfilm. They don't care about the quality. They don't care. All they care about is the people that are writing the stories are an ethnic rainbow.
Well, that's
essentially
DEI, and this didn't pop up overnight. This idiocy started in the 90s, and I will give the people who push this stuff their due. They're a very patient lot. They plant the seed, and then they sit back and watch it bear its poisonous fruit. DEI is where KSAs go to die. You cannot, your color, your gender is not a viable substitute for knowledge, skills, and abilities. We have standards for a reason. And when you take away those standards, when you diminish the importance of having the ability to do something, the knowledge to do something, the skills to do something, all we're just left with is just meaningless slop. And when you look at entertainment across the board, especially since 2016, we can look at any viable IP and go, what the hell happened? Why is it not good anymore? Why is everybody so upset? And it's this story again and again and again and again. It's these weirdos and their ideology pushing a bunch of crap that nobody wants, that no one asked for. And unfortunately, it's not going to stop until people start suing. And I get it. People are a little hesitant to want to sue because you may get a little roasted on social media for being the white guy suing about racism, but the fact of the matter is that when these cases do hit court, the win record is through the roof, because when you break the law, you break the law, and EEO complaints exist for a reason. This idiocy needs to stop.
Yep. Lauren, I wanted to get your take on this real quick because I know you have to head out. So you want to give us your thoughts real quick, and then we will say goodbye to you for the week.
I don't have any deep thoughts about this other than that it's in keeping with how Lucasfilm and Disney have been operating for several years now. There's been all kinds of times that they have taken people's work uncredited, tracing an awful lot of artwork for comic books, stealing fan communities' designs, this is kind of how they've been operating. And a lot of the reason that they get away with it is that, as Kevin said, if you're going to try and go up against them, it's a David versus Goliath fight. They can just stall court cases and wait you out because they have more money than you. And that's a pretty dirty way to live. And a bunch of authors and creators have called them out for it, but they still haven't amended their behavior. So they still need to continue to be punished. Stop giving them money.
Sure. Absolutely. Lauren, thank you for joining us this week, my friend. You, as always, you hit a home run tonight with your expert analysis. Tell the folks where they can find more about who you are, what you do, and where they can find you.
You can find me at Lauren Connor on X and Lauren Connor 9030 on YouTube. I'm on the Genre Guys with Hangry Table and Lou Wasserman's Ghost pretty much every week. I pop up here on Thursdays, and I'm in WDW Pro's streams quite often, usually being tortured by extremely bad entertainment, sometimes for money, for charity. So if you want to look that stuff up, you can find me around. Otherwise, take care, everybody. Had fun this week.
Thank you, Lauren.
Bye, Lauren.
See y'all.
See you, buddy.
Lauren.
Jess, anything you want to add as a writer, as a creative, seeing the kind of DEI stuff that Lucasfilm is pulling?
It's difficult for me to address this kind of thing because, I do a lot of creative stuff myself. I've written books. I've done animatics. I've kind of been in writers' rooms. And it's frustrating because I feel like we don't go back far enough in even looking at taking the creative industry and trying to turn it into a business in the first place, because you should not be discriminating against people once you're this large. Once you're, when we're dealing with the stuff we're dealing with, it's completely uncalled for. But at the same time, I'm sitting here going, if I was being forced to work with someone that I fundamentally disagree with in any way, shape, or form, I would be terrified to say anything to that person. So I know a lot of people are like, oh, she's agreeing, like she's defending this stuff. It's like, no. What I'm simply saying is the politics and the insertion of rule of law in the creative sphere in itself was a problem a long time ago. And now everyone's seeing it, almost case by case by case, day by day by day. And as someone who is, I'm a small time creative, occasionally looking into the big boys club, and I'm just like, that's a mess. I don't want anything to do with that junk. And at the same time, I hope those people get their dues from these backstabbing companies that will happily use them and then throw them to the wolves, because what you're doing is you're setting up precedent for anyone with an ounce of creative integrity to never work with you. And that's why Disney is dying, or rather that's why the corpse is bloating, so to speak.
For sure.
I think a lot of what we're seeing with Disney and the legal stuff, they keep making these boneheaded moves. I believe it's because they've been top of the heap for over a decade now, and they started slipping, and they don't know how to deal with not getting their way.
Yep.
100%, Martin. You absolutely hit the nail on the head on that.
Go
ahead, Kev.
And listen, I know the focus on this was just because of this particular writer, getting canned because of his race, but we also see this. Paramount is no better. I know it's been ages, but remember in 2019 when what is his name? Oh, Walter Mosley got fired from Discovery because he was sharing his experience as a black man, and he dropped an N-bomb, and then someone called HR, and then they told him if he did it again, he was going to be fired. And he was telling a story where the use of the word was integral to the story because it was about his experience. So it's like on top of the asinine politics of it, you're also surrounded by people who live their lives in a very tight bubble, divorced from reality. Their worldview is very myopic, and they can only see, into themselves. So, they exist to be offended. They exist to be upset. And the second you do something that bothers them, no matter how innocuous it is, whether you are telling a truth, whether you're telling, something about your experience, if it collides with the fantasy that they've created for themselves, you are the villain. And this problem has permeated creativity in a way that it's scary. It's scary. So it's, listen, this is why YouTube is now the force it is. Why the new media is what it is now, because we need people to fight back and push back. And listen, we understand, if you're out there and you are creative and you are trying to collect the check, you need to collect the check. So you have to play nice, because yes, the trick is you got to get the enemy to give you money. But just, I don't know, just do what you got to do, knuckle in, dig your heels in, and just fight the bloody power, because these people will lose. They just, I don't know. They're not creative. They don't desire experience. They don't enjoy life, and there's a certain amount of joy that you have to have in order to do stuff like this. And these people don't have it. So they're not going to be able to hang on forever if everybody just kind of does their part and calls this nonsense out and just demands better and stop giving places like Disney unlimited amounts of your resources. Hold your cash and make them beg for it. And if they don't beg right, ignore them.
Jess, were you trying to say something there?
I 100% agree when you said they're not creative. I think the biggest problem that has led to things like this happening is non-creative people have basically taken over what used to be creative places, creative companies. And, you know, once you get a non-creative majority in a place where you need to be able to riff and jive and you know, have fun with each other without getting bent out of shape, that's when the problems start. And so the real problem here is not so much, you know, the which person is the law being used against this time. It's more that whole company is creatively bankrupt and dead, and that's why all these problems keep popping up.
It's always a huge problem when you have non-creative people that fall into creative roles, whether it's, you know, because they were, you know, hired for one reason or another, or because they've just have become so powerful otherwise. Because like we were talking on Pro's show earlier about Red One. Somebody asked about the failure of Red One, and I said, stop letting The Rock make decisions. Stop allowing The Rock to make creative decisions and production decisions, because he's not creative and he doesn't know what he's doing. He's a gifted, charismatic performer and always has been, but he's not a creative. And you let him tank. You know, you let him tank DC. You're gonna let him tank this Moana movie. You let him tank Red One because he watched a Christopher Nolan movie and decided that his holiday film had to be shot in IMAX for $200 million. And we let him do it because he's The Rock and he's got $800 million and he's super powerful. Like, stop letting him be creative, right, Kevin?
No, it's true though. Listen, I say this as someone who likes The Rock. We have to come to reality. He is Timu Arnold.
Yes.
Arnold earned the ability to call his shots. Arnold desperately wanted to make a comedy with Ivan Reitman. Wanted it so badly, and then boom, Twins happened. Do you think The Rock could do that? No. He's going to say, I want a movie with a twin, and The Rock needs to be on 52 IMAX screens at the same time, and I want a dragon. How is this you're having a twin? Dragons. You're giving an ornery 12-year-old with on a sugar high $400 billion and saying, do whatever you want to go do. And let's be honest, after you get past like The Rundown, The Rock has not had a successful tentpole that was solely his. He grifted off of Fast and the Furious, and you know, because I'm going to throw allegedly out here, just for the sake of being able to say my sentence. Everybody knows that you don't have to be nice to the drug dealer when you have your own. Vin Diesel did not have to be nice to The Rock because Vin Diesel didn't need The Rock steroids. He has his own guy. He has his own doctor. So when The Rock wanted to act up, Vin Diesel told him to go.
I call me friend The Rock. Hugh Jackman.
I'm just done with Les Mis, and I need to put on 40 pounds for Wolverine. I called my good friend Dwayne Johnson, you know, The Rock, and he gave me
a diet plan. He gave me a workout plan. Right. Yes,
T-bone
a workout plan that you stick in your bum.
That's right. I took that T-bone steak and I put in me bum 3 times a week. So it's like, but it's like just I'm so sick and tired of having to watch The Rock whine about nothing and not really deliver. You know what people wanted? People wanted to see The Rock's version of Commando. People wanted to see The Rock fight aliens and stuff. I got Return to Witch Mountain and the movie about him being a emo football coach for bad kids. I don't care about this. You haven't actually done anything. Shut up.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, no, now that you said that, I can't help but picture a remake of Twins with The Rock and Kevin Hart now. And I'm trying desperately to not picture it.
Don't. That's something that could actually manifest. Don't.
Meanwhile, in Harvey Weinstein's basement,
We're
brothers.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
You know,
so okay,
it'll be Freaky Friday. That's what it'll be. It'll be Freakiest Friday instead of it being Twins. They'll switch bodies.
But if it's Freaky Friday, then it's going to be Jaden Smith.
Oh. Yeah. Oh, you're 100% right. You're 100% right. Oh my goodness. All right, moving on to a story that I can't wait to talk about because it's one of my favorite stories that I wrote this week. HBO stands by JK Rowling, head of Harry Potter TV series involvement, says that the author, quote, has the right to express her personal views. Guys, this is big because Warner Brothers would not have made this statement 6 months ago.
Daddy Zaslav would have done it. He would have been told.
Daddy Zaslav does not care about the wokies. He does not care about identity politics. He cares about making money. And right now, this little bespectacled wizard boy is going to make him a lot of money that this company desperately needs. So it says HBO has issued a statement in support of JK Rowling and a Harry Potter TV series involvement, noting that the author, quote, has the right to express her personal views in the face of fan backlash. Rowling, the author of one of the most successful book series of all time, has become a lightning rod of controversy in recent years, with former fans and even some of the actors from her Harry Potter films speaking out against her. This mostly centers around her views on individuals who identify with a gender that differs from their birth. She additionally believes that anatomical men should not be permitted in women's spaces or sports. And there's a picture of her reading at the White House. This has displeased many in Hollywood, with calls for boycotts of Rowling's work ringing out every few months. However, the Harry Potter IP has never been stronger, with books, movies, theme park lands, and attractions, endless merchandise, a hit video game, and that's the important one that we're going to talk about in a second, and now an upcoming long-form TV series on HBO and the Max streaming service. Rowling is said to be heavily involved in the TV series, which will adapt her original 7 books and flesh them out in a way that was never possible in the Daniel Radcliffe-led films. Of course, any involvement by Rowling is often met with loud opposition from those who disagree with her personal views. But when the video game Hogwarts Legacy came out in early 2023, activists decried the title and even went so far as to threaten and harass streamers who played and supported the game. And this was a title that Rowling had virtually no involvement in. However, despite the mass calls of protest, a very valuable lesson was learned from the Hogwarts Legacy controversy. Most people don't care. Hogwarts Legacy was a massive success, selling 30 million copies and generating more than $1 billion in revenue. It represented some of the fiercest and loudest attacks ever flung at Rowling's work by online activists, and it didn't make a shred of difference. And that might be why, after years of dancing around the controversy, Warner Bros. Has finally chosen a side, and it's not going to sit well with Hollywood. HBO boss Casey Bloys spoke about Rowling's involvement in the series at a press event and said that the author was, quote, very, very involved in the process of selecting the writer and the director. He also definitively stated that her personal feelings on protecting women's spaces, quote, haven't affected the casting or hiring of writers or production staff. Representatives from HBO and Warner Brothers told Variety in a statement that Rowling's contributions to adaptations of her beloved work has been invaluable over the last 20 years. Quote, we are proud to once again tell the story of Harry Potter, the heartwarming books that speak to the power of friendship, resolve, and acceptance, the statement said. JK Rowling has a right to express her personal views. We will remain focused on the development of the new series, which will only benefit from her involvement. That's a definitive statement from HBO and by extension Warner Brothers Discovery in support of Rowling that flies in the face of the activist noise already rising up on social media platforms. But Rowling doesn't take abuse and venom from online trolls laying down. The author is a fun follow on X where she routinely jousts with those who express their anger toward her. When somebody asked about her involvement, she said she was very involved and I think it's going to be wonderful. And they said, my disappointment is immeasurable and my day is ruined. And she said, I've only just seen this response to me saying that I'm very involved in the Harry Potter TV show, and I think I've pulled something laughing. She's amazing. That should also come as... What was that?
I'm loving this world where I can enjoy JK Rowling. I went from never going anywhere near her Twitter to checking it every day just to see what joy she's brought me.
As should come as no shock, the legacy Access Media has already started to attack HBO and Rowling. Variety ran a hit piece just today trying to paint the author as some kind of monster. Quote, the industry has never quite faced a scenario in which the sole creator of a beloved multi-billion-dollar global franchise has plunged so unabashedly into one of the culture's most contentious social issues, writer Adam B. Very opined. She's effectively made herself toxic to many, with the core fandom, whose devotion began 25 years ago when they were children and has sustained the franchise long after the books and the film series concluded. Variety then goes on to turn its narrative stink eye toward the actors who will eventually star in the upcoming series, a thing that we all saw coming, winding up for what will undoubtedly be a plethora of attacks against them for their participation in the beloved franchise. For any actor joining the new Harry Potter series, Rowling has thrown down a gauntlet they're unlikely to escape once casting for the show begins in earnest next year. Then this lady says, "You can't fault somebody for wanting to do this job," said Kat Miller, a woman who has made her career glomming off of Rowling's work. She serves as the creative director of MuggleNet and the co-author of the unofficial Harry Potter Companion. So just to be fair, instead of creating her own thing, this woman just creates things that glom off of the work of someone she hates. Quote, yeah, pretty much. But the internet and the fandom and the politics of it all are probably going to demand that they say something. If you people are automatically going to assume that you agree with Rowling, I can't wait to see these people screaming in the face of 3 11-year-olds who take on the roles of Harry, Ron, and Hermione. One of my other favorite JK moments back in April 2023, she said, "Dreadful news, which I feel duty-bound to share. Activists in my mentions are trying to organize yet another boycott of my work, this time of the Harry Potter TV show. As forewarned is forearmed, I've taken the precaution of laying in a large stock of champagne." Trish, I'm going to let you lead us off here. Your reaction to HBO actually taking the stand and standing alongside JK Rowling.
Let me see if my brain can keep track of all of the things I was thinking as you're reading that article. The biggest thing is, it's absurd to me that the author and creator of something being very involved is A, a question, and B, a shock to people. This is not a thing that should be up for any kind of questioning, debate. She made it. I don't know what happened to the days where if you, whatever your reasons are your reasons. If you don't want to support something financially with your time, don't. But this demand that everything in the world has to kowtow to it, it's creating scenarios like this. It shouldn't be a question if she's involved in it. It's ridiculous that this is a thing that's going around. Oh, this is immeasurable, or my disappointment is immeasurable. Well, you're an idiot if you thought she wasn't going to be involved in it. Like, I don't. It's very frustrating because it casts an unnecessary pall over everything. And it's not that I, specifically speaking for me, feel guilty, but no, I'm just annoyed because you're taking something that's supposed to be happy and fun and people get enjoyment out of, and you're just doing your best to stomp all over it because you don't like it. Or not even you don't like it, you like it. You don't like her. I don't care that you don't like her. Go like her off in the corner where I can't hear or see you because it makes no difference to me. I just, like I said, if my brain could keep track of everything that I was thinking in that, I just, it's a bummer, you know?
It's no longer a situation where they're saying, I don't like that this is being made, so I'm not going to support it, like what you're saying. Yeah. They're saying, I don't like that this is being made, so no one can have it. And how dare any of you support this? Because if you support her, you're a bigot. It's just like there was a online list curated of all game streamers that streamed Hogwarts Legacy so that they could be harassed and just destroyed and canceled by these people because they are just, absolutely ridiculous with this kind of stuff.
These are the same people. I've seen saying things maybe that run against what I feel about the series. I'm not talking political anything, what they say about the series. And there are these people who are screaming, the things they'll say about her. And one of the examples they gave of her being a terrible person was the house elf storyline. And I sat there and I went, the whole point of that storyline, of that whole angle, was that Hermione was right. And they're like, well, no, that's not what she was saying. I'm like, that's exactly what she was saying.
Yeah,
the way
it was 100%.
Out, Hermione was constantly proven right with things concerning the house elves and their rights and the way that they're treated by certain wizards and certain families. And they're like, well, no, she's a bigot because she put it in there. I'm like, but the message is that that's wrong. And it's like their fundamental lack of reading comprehension becomes everybody's issue.
Yeah, I've always felt that Alex Haley is a bigot because he wrote Roots and that has slavery in it.
It's like, I guess, and this is kind of a blanket thing. This isn't just a Harry Potter thing. I'm just very tired of people's ignorance in whatever way that is, whether it's the facts about something, it's the comprehension of something, ruining stuff, even indirectly. And it's like, I don't know why I am supposed to listen to somebody who doesn't understand that very basic story thread to things. And I get why it gets covered in today's day and age, but I really wish everyone would just ignore it. Just ignore it. Let them shout into the abyss like I feel like I do about this stuff. Just ignore it. Because like you said, everyone really doesn't care. The movies still get viewed, the video games still get purchased and played, the books still get read. Just stop giving the temper tantrum any attention. And like, she has such a great attitude for it. It's one of those things where I like to think I could be like that, but sometimes I'm like, I'd probably get a little irritated if it were me, and something would probably come out a little edgier than maybe I would necessarily want it to, but
well, when you're tweeting from a stack of cash, it's probably easier to stay.
It is probably, yeah.
When you're swimming in Scrooge McDuck's money bin off the moors of Scotland,
liquid gold, just bathing in it. But I guess I'm tired of the attention to it. I'm just tired of the attention to it because it's like, all the other stuff. Like, I have my reservations about this series, but it's not because she has this opinion on something unrelated to it. Why can't you let me and everybody else just enjoy things? And like, it's enabling them. Like that article where the guy's like, ooh, whatever it was with the statement and then the kids. And just stop. Like, I understand that it kind of gets clicks and negativity does that. But it's making the discourse so unnecessarily negative and toxic. And it's making, by extension, the product feel that way. Like, it's making the whole thing feel that way. And it's like they said in one part about, it's the people who've been fans for this long. First of all, if they've been fans for this long and they don't understand the story, that's a whole other can of worms. But it's like, are they really that big of a fan of something if this is how they're behaving over it because of something that's really not connected to it, actually? And B, they're willing to have this attitude towards it. Like, I would think if you're disappointed in something, you would want to positively try to enact change. And instead, it's just a hissy fit. And you're so ready to just shove all of it aside. And it's like, well, did you really love it? Did you really love it? If you can just chuck it to the side like that for something that you might not even agree with yourself in 10 years. You know what I mean? So this nonsense of, the biggest, most passionate fandom. Well, like, says who? They don't seem like that to me.
No. Well, you know what is hysterical is, and this is what I think Hollywood is finally coming around to. For years, they thought that the virtue signaling, panderers were the majority. This is the majority of people. The other ones are just a very loud vocal minority. This is the right side of history. This is what people want. This is the future. And when people were calling for, JK Rowling's head and burning her books, and, which I love when they talk about how they burnt her books, she was like, oh, well, thank you. She's like, I still get the royalties after you buy it, whether you burn it, whether you burn it or read it, I still get the royalties. They learned with Hogwarts Legacy, these people actually don't. Their boycott did nothing.
And when you think about the property as a whole, it's like it said somewhere in the article, it's about things like acceptance and, being quirky and being different. And look at Luna, you know what I mean? It's about all of these things that they say they are, or they believe they are, they feel... And then they're running so opposite the message. They should be gravitating towards it still, especially now, if this is how they feel. And they're not, because of this one thing, which that's
the thing that I always find is so hysterical is she agrees with these people on 99.9% of things. It's just this 1.1% that they disagree on, and they think she is the devil incarnate because of it.
Mm-hmm. And like you said, most people don't care. I would wager there's a giant swath of people who love Harry Potter who have no idea of her opinions on any of this.
Let me tell you something. As somebody that goes to Universal Studios as much as I go, the most crowded area is always the Wizarding World of Harry Potter in both parks, all right? Because and people are out there in July in Florida wearing big robes, long sleeve robes, black robes, because they want to show off their Hogwarts house. They've got their robes, they've got their wands, and they got their butterbeer. And Harry Potter is to younger millennials, I think, what Star Wars was to elder millennials and older.
Yes.
There's a divide somewhere in the 90s where you're Star Wars or you're Harry Potter. But
yes. I was thinking about that. Sorry, Marvin, I interrupted you.
No, go.
I was thinking about that as Trish was talking, because there's something different between them, though. Star Wars fans, they like Star Wars, before the dark times, before the Empire. They made fan films of Star Wars and stuff like that. But there's something different with Harry Potter where people mold their lives around it. Most Star Wars fans weren't trying to live like they're in the Jedi Order. They weren't. People didn't know what, I don't know, lightsaber dueling form they would use, that sort of thing. But the Harry Potter stuff, people are really into which house they're in and stuff like that. And a part of me wonders, is that because that aspect of the Harry Potter fandom is more female dominated, and they're drawing an identity from it in a way that Star Wars fans didn't? And maybe that's part of the stuff with Rowling, because when people build their lives around this identity, and she suddenly sort of pulls the rug underneath them by not being exactly who they thought she was, I think that's why we're getting this sort of reaction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could definitely see that. I think, and that kind of sheds light even more on where the problem stems from, which is, that happens to them. And I know that happens to some people. I'm not really that type of person. But then just don't. It always feels like it's this point where everybody else has to follow that person's lead, has to handle it the way that person wants to handle it. And I mean, maybe there's some connect there. Like you said, people with Harry Potter as opposed to Star Wars. I wouldn't know about Star Wars fans in that regard. They don't sound like that to me, but I don't know. It's that specific moment in the whole process that's making everything spin wildly out of control when it doesn't need to. It's basically it's just a kid that needs to be told, you don't get your way all the time. Shut up. You know what I mean? And it's just, I think that this is probably the biggest maybe example of that type of attitude from some people. Just, it's like this miasma that's just like taking over it. And it's just so wholly unnecessary if someone just, told the kid to shut up.
Yeah.
You know?
And meanwhile, her involvement in things, that's why things like the theme parks are so good. Because she has her hands in everything. She's the lore master for the world that she created, and therefore she is 100% on top of these things. Let's take a look right here. Look at this. Universal's Epic Universe Harry Potter Ministry of Magic attraction photos deliver on concept art's promise. Is Disney in trouble? Spoiler alert, yes. So this is the concept art for what the Ministry of Magic is supposed to look like.
That looks exactly like the movie.
That's the concept art. So let's take a look at what it actually looks like. So while in both Orlando and Anaheim, logs jam waterways on Tiana's Bayou adventure, Disney's biggest theme park competitor just dropped the mic with a set of stunning Epic Universe Harry Potter photos that actually deliver on their lofty promises. The new attraction, Harry Potter and the Battle for the Ministry, will open along with the rest of Epic Universe on May 22nd. Fans got their first look inside the fabled Ministry of Magic from JK Rowling's classic novel series today, when People magazine released a set of stunning images that showed the new area in all its glory. And unlike the House of Mouse down the street, Universal's final product actually met the expectations set by the initial concept art. So here's the concept art, and here's what it actually looks like in the bottom photo, Trish.
And like the thing with Harry Potter, and maybe this is other franchises that I'm just not into, is like, I think part of the reason why it's so popular in Universal is because people want to like feel like they're in Harry Potter. They want to feel like they're in Hogwarts or Hogsmeade or whatever. And that makes you feel like it. You know what I mean? You're not sitting there, because when you love something enough, I think you're naturally going to see something with a little bit more of a critical eye. You're going to notice things that maybe more casual people wouldn't. And I feel like just looking at this, it is very hard to see what someone could complain about with that. Because, maybe visually in the book, you imagined what you imagined. But once you see a movie, it kind of becomes the visual that even if you reread something, it becomes how you picture it in your head. And so that
plus you get to find out how to pronounce Hermione.
Right?
Herm one.
Hermione was how I pronounced it when I first read it.
So it's like,
but look, this is real. This is not concept art. This is real. This is a place that exists now.
And this is all fans, really passionate fans of something, want. They just want it to be. They want to take the world they are living in their head and actually be in it for a day.
Look at the tiling. Look at that.
Unbelievable.
You're not going to find this anywhere else. It is one in a million. There's no cheap imitation. This is the real deal, and it's once a lifetime. People have to experience it.
Yeah, the cooperation statue.
Wow. If you told me it was just like stills from the set of a Harry Potter movie, I'd believe you.
This is Umbridge's herself. That's an animatronic of her.
Oh.
Higgledy, I believe, is her name. Bunch of clocks. This is the ride vehicle, which also, by the way, look at this. The ride vehicle is this is the ride vehicle. This is the seatbelt. So it's in the elevator of the Ministry of Magic, the one that goes up, down, forward.
Are those speakers with a little Ministry of Magic M on them?
I don't think they're speakers. I think the speakers are up here. I think those are set. I think those are.
Because I was going to say, that looks like a speaker. I'm pointing like anyone sees what I'm pointing at.
It's to pump sense in. I think it's gonna be multi-sensory experience, and they're gonna be putting scent in there. But it doesn't have the big clunky harness system that all of the other Harry Potter rides have. It just is a seatbelt, which I think is great. And look at this. It looks like nice upholstery. You're not sitting on like hard plastic.
It looks so whimsically and delightfully British.
It does.
Here is some concept art on what it's going to look like inside. Very, very cool, guys. Jess, you're a big theme park person. What do you think of this?
Well, yeah. Well, first thing I saw, I was like, oh, neat. So they're going off of the Tower of Terror design, and yeah, those look like they could be sensors, scent injection, higher order speaker set to give you a real like proper surround sound. I love to see when they actually deliver on the concept, because I've seen some people in chat going like, nice to see everyone who left Disney went straight to Universal. That seems to be the case. I wanted to go back to what Martin said, because I was thinking the exact same thing, and it's like, just let me pull the grenade and go, yeah, that's because Harry Potter is mostly, very feminine energy female fans, and Star Wars was very masculine energy male fans. And I think the biggest problem with the whole cancel culture with Harry Potter is most people who like Harry Potter don't like Harry Potter. Like you mentioned, Trish, it's they were kind of going along for the ride, and when they were told, hey, you can't like this anymore, they go, no, okay, can't like it anymore. Because
Yeah.
I mean, all JK Rowling did was say, hey, Silence of the Lambs was a great movie, and everyone lost their minds.
That's pretty much what she did.
I mean,
and you know what? And when you look at where JK comes from, I believe she is an assault survivor, and therefore, yeah, like I believe she's speaking from experience on a lot of this stuff, and to just throw away what she's saying, it's not wise to do that. It's believe all women unless it's an issue that disagrees with the thing that you want, that you believe.
Unless we were told recently that we can't like this person anymore, because most
Right.
of the people who go into these cancellation bits and say, well, this is problematic or that's problematic, they couldn't have pointed that out until someone else queued them up on it in the first place, because almost everything they try to cancel her over is like, that's been there since the first book, guys. You only now have a problem with it because suddenly you've been told not to like that person. And this is coming from someone who's like, I wouldn't call myself a Harry Potter fan, but I was at the first Harry Potter convention in 2003 at the Disney Epcot Swan and Dolphin Hotel when it was held. And I remember reading those books and seeing how it went from a niche thing to the biggest thing ever. And then suddenly cancellations started coming just because she was writing other books that had a villain that people didn't like. So it's humorous to see it. And Trish, I think you nailed it with stop giving attention to the kids who didn't get their way, because these people aren't creative in the first place. They can't separate the art from the artist. And I'm not even saying you should always do that. You should always be able to do that. But it's a basic thing that most people who enjoy interesting stories are capable of doing.
Kevin
Kevin Apollo,
you agree with me.
Kevin Apollo, I could tell you had something you wanted to say.
I just listen.
I'm gonna get a drink while you say it.
It's almost like he's like, I don't want to be here for this.
It's not going to be terrible. It's not going to be terrible. I would say, listen, we're dealing with people, especially when it comes to the fact that she is an assault survivor. These people, they derive their power by obfuscating context. So, like so if I can tell you, a story. I could say, hey, I saw Marv punch an old lady. It can be actually true. It is actually true. However, if I remove the fact that old lady was a terrorist holding a stick of dynamite,
it kind of changes the punch a little.
That was a rough day.
but this is the world that these people live in, and I fully agree. We're talking about a very small but enabled, a very small but enabled for reasons minority of folks who are not actually fans of these books. They're just not, because real fans don't gotta be honest, real fans don't think this way. They don't behave this way. They just want to enjoy their content. They want to celebrate it. They want to, even if you're not crazy about the person, right? Like, I think Stephen King is a doofus / boob. He's a boofus.
Watch your language, young man.
I like it. Boofus.
but you know what? I can very thoroughly enjoy Salem's Lot, and not have the experience soiled for me because Grandpa forgot to take his meds and he's on a Twitter tirade. It is what it is. It's so annoying that these idiots dominate so much of the space, because if you put them in a room and you said, I need you to tell me 15 things about this storyline from any of the books, it's just like 50 Cent saying that he would give Floyd Mayweather $1 million if he could read one page of Harry Potter. They're not going to be able to do it. So it just...
And you know that because everything they're doing and saying flies in the face of what the overarching point of the whole series is. Like, literally, it's the opposite of what she's saying in that book. You accept people, embrace your uniqueness, and, it's okay if people are different, and you can still find ways to connect and get... It's just like, I'm tired. I'm tired.
I, for one, I'm like, bring it on. I am relishing the day when we see these lunatics decide that they're going to bum rush a bunch of 11-year-olds for doing their job. Because once they do it, the veil is torn open and they can't hide anymore. And I don't think that they can risk that.
When I feel passionately about something, because I get kind of like, ugh, and then like words stop coming out because I stop knowing words to say. That's how you know. A little note to everybody.
No, 100%. Nolan Thunder, anything you want to add about this one?
No, honestly, I love Harry Potter to pieces, but every time I watch one of those movies, I feel really dumb by the end of it because I have trouble following all the little subplots in it. But no, I think everyone here just hit the nail right on the head. Like, don't take your personal opinions as a way to just hate someone just because you disagree with them. She's done a lot of great things for a lot of people's lives and opened a gateway to, no pun intended here, magic to people's lives. It's really helped a lot of people who probably had their own struggles in life, with depression, anxiety, things that JK Rowling herself went through. There's a reason she's an icon amongst creators out there. And you want to cancel this woman and basically see her gone off, put her in a rocket, send her to Mars away from the planet just because this one thing you disagree with her on? That is selfish and stupid. And I really hope that she proves me wrong with this upcoming show and it ends up being a big success to hopefully enlighten more people on her world and hopefully make good memories for all the families, individuals, whoever that are watching it, including those that disagree with her.
I agree,
well said, Nolan.
Thank you.
So, few more super chats right now. I gifted 5 Tooney Town TV memberships, so congratulations to those who received them. Woo. John Williams, for $2 said, "Don't forget, George Lucas did not like Boba Fett being a Mandalorian." That is true. Under George's canon, Boba Fett was Boba and Jango were never Mandalorians. And John Williams also said for $9.99, thank you very much, says the only part of modern JK I liked about her is when she stopped virtue signaling to hide her phobia, her opinions. Yes, words I can't say without getting demonetized. He says, I got death threats by these same people who hate her now for pointing this out. No, yeah, that's the case. That is 100% the case. I used to despise her, and but yeah, it's.
Well, you know what I used to say? I don't pity the arson who gets burned in their own fire, because
I use that quote of yours all the time. Pity not the arsonist who burns in their own flame.
Good.
Because she planted the seeds for a lot of the toxicity that is modern online discourse and cancel culture. So when they started to go out there, I was like, good for you, you got what you deserved. But now it's like, no, guys, you took it too far. You're missing the plot. And you know what? Good for her. She's turned me around on how I feel about her, because you know what? She is great. She is great at the barb. Just
Well, you-
singer made me laugh for an entire week.
Well, if I can too, I feel like sometimes, and this is not just a Rowling specific thing, people, they don't like her for whatever reason now, and then they make it like the person's not like good at what they do or talented. Like suddenly they're a hack, and like I remember seeing that once with Eric Clapton. People were like, he wasn't that great of a guitarist. I'm like, this needs to stop. It needs to stop. Just because you don't like this. And it was multiple people because they didn't like something he said, which is fine, whatever. I feel like I'm old like he is because I don't think he gives a crap about how they feel about him because he's Eric Clapton and why would he? But like, it was the nonsense of like, he really wasn't that great. Or they'd be like, who? And it's like, you know what? If you say who in a music discussion about Eric Clapton, I'm done. I'm not listening to you. You may as well leave the room.
He wasn't in the Who. He was in the Yardbirds.
Stop it, Martin. But you know what I'm saying? You know, that's what they try to do.
Yeah,
things.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, Marvin, in the merch store, you need like a stitched pillow with that Kevin Apollo quote. Yeah, pity not the arsonist who burns in his own fire. Kevin Apollo.
Yes. Be like a flame on it.
100%. I agree.
Like fire.
I definitely agree. All right, I had one other story, but it's very brief. It's just on Disney Plus, they replaced She-Hulk on the MCU banner with Deadpool. And some people are loving it, some people are very angry because yes, Kevin's doing the dance. But the man, the She-Hulk thing, people like to try to draw the comparison between Deadpool and She-Hulk. They're like, this is hypocrisy. You all love when Deadpool breaks the fourth wall, but not when She-Hulk does it. I'm like, no, that's like saying that Dave Chappelle and Jimmy Fallon are both comedians, so you should like both equally.
How you do something matters.
Exactly. It's not just what they're doing. It's it's like comparing the Australian breakdancing lady to like an actual professional breakdancer. Yes, they're both technically breakdancing, but that's not at the same level. Like they compared the twerking with Megan Thee Stallion to Deadpool and Wolverine's opening to Bye Bye Bye. And I'm like, no. Deadpool's opening is a brutal action sequence in which he dismembers members of a hated Marvel organization. People despise the TVA because of how bad that Loki show was. And he's dismembering them with Wolverine's adamantium skeleton while a 90s hit song plays. And he does a dance that everyone knew when they were kids. That's not the same as She-Hulk shaking her CGI bottom with Megan Thee Stallion screaming, I would kill for you, Megan Thee Stallion, while no laughs are had by anyone.
Also, is that She-Hulk's thing? Like how it's Deadpool's thing being kind of,
Technically,
it
she
is,
did.
Yeah,
technically she did.
Okay.
Yeah, she does.
A lot of it was kind of fan servicey.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. She-Hulk and Deadpool are the two characters that break the fourth wall.
Okay, because sometimes that argument is there, and it's like, well, it makes sense for one person and not the other. That's why I asked because I don't really know about She-Hulk. But
it's the what, Deadpool and Wolverine literally did this exact phenomenon when he's talking to Nice Pool, and Nice Pool's like, I can gently tap on the fourth wall too. The proposal. Like I love that movie. So I could watch Deadpool and Wolverine. I could watch Deadpool and Wolverine a million times. It was.
Oh, you were talking about Deadpool. I was talking about the proposal. I thought the proposal was funny when we watched it.
Yeah, the proposal.
Why not a double marathon?
So guys,
Nelson in that.
Well, and also guys,
White is in it.
He's the dad.
They're never going to go back to She-Hulk. She-Hulk is never getting a second season. Deadpool is the biggest thing they got right now. Yes, Deadpool's on the banner. She-Hulk's not.
Now, Deadpool second season anyway.
Deadpool is also on the banner with, and this is just amazing that this is the lineup. It's Deadpool, Yelena Black Widow, Loki, like TVA Loki, Scarlet Witch, Captain America Sam Wilson version, Nick Fury, Captain Marvel, Shuri Black Panther, and Shang-Chi.
It sounds so just like C tier. compared to what? You know,
it is a veritable who's that of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
It's Deadpool and the D-listers.
Yeah,
I was going to say Deadpool seems like, again, another one of these things. It's not like the others. It feels like there's Deadpool and there's like all the other ones. For as much as I like Yelena, you know.
I mean, Yelena is great. I do like Lorraine. I do. Yeah. I honestly think I like her better than Scarlett Johansson.
I don't know if I'm ready to. I'm not against having that opinion in the future. I just don't know if I'm ready.
I know. I just find.
I really love Natasha.
Well,
so. Rain check the opinion.
Yelena got to actually, show personality. And Natasha, once we get out of Iron Man, it was just kind of like there.
Yeah.
And she's Russian. She has the Russian accent, which I think you lose something from Black Widow when she doesn't have a Russian accent. Real quick before we end, though, guys, I wanted to point out this one thing. Star Wars Outlaws dropped on Steam today. So why don't we check in and see how it's doing with concurrent players? We have the 24-hour peak of 834 and current 815 players. That is the highest it's been all day today. I've been following this because we're gonna have an article on That Park Place about its opening day. I would assume we'll get over 1,000 sometime over the weekend at the very least. I'm not expecting big things. This game was a horrific failure, despite the fact that the Game Awards tried to give it like 3 different nominations. I believe the main actress is up for best performance. The game is up for best action adventure game, and it's up for best accessibility. Dragon Age: The Veil God, however, only nominated for accessibility features, not for anything else. The Game Awards, the Game Awards is ridiculous. I only watch it for the trailers. The Game Awards is essentially the antithesis
YouTube is a thing. We're on it. Why do you put yourself through that show to watch trailers that are just going to be up on YouTube?
Because I got to see them when they debut live, Trish.
You look such a masochist. Why are you doing this to yourself?
Well, and now I have to do it because I have to cover it for That Park Place. So I've still got to do it.
That's
no matter what you say.
Into it. I was going to skip it, but no.
Help me to help you.
I hope that lady wins for the best actress for a video game or whatever, so that they have to show what she actually looks like.
She's a beautiful actress. She's a beautiful woman. And they made her look so disgusting in this.
They turned her into Rocky Dennis.
Yeah.
I was going to say that guy Zadair from those 80s movies, the guy with the big giant chin.
Oh, that guy. Yeah, Maniac Cop.
Oh, hey, guys, real quick, right before we're about to end the show, timely as usual.
I knew
Spencer
it.
Baculi of
Did you see my face?
I didn't expect you guys. I try not to, Trish, but
Whoa! Shots fired!
I actually didn't expect you guys to be live still, and I checked. I was like, oh wow, they're on. And then you started talking about the Game Awards, and I was like, they'll probably be on for like 5 minutes.
Yeah. I can give them 5 minutes of my time. It's fine.
No, I got a nasty text from the ocean when we were on this late a couple weeks ago.
Billy Ocean.
That's true.
I heard that, Martin.
The Game Awards, guys, are decided by a panel of industry experts. They experts.
Stooges.
Yeah, industry shills. Industry shills.
Is it like the Baseball Hall of Fame? Is that what it is? Where people who didn't suck up to journalists wind up getting snubbed because the journalists are petty and wield that power over them.
So yeah, it's all people from like Variety and IGN and Polygon.
It's worse.
This is like Variety? Like why? Who are you people?
Yeah, I don't understand why Variety is involved in the jury, but they are. And and Jeff Keighley, who the douchebag that runs it, is like oh, and the fans, you get to cast your votes now. The fan vote only counts for 10% of the actual results for the winners.
Which is so lame.
90% of it is decided by the jury of journalists essentially. So the Game Awards are a joke.
The X-Play Game Awards were way better than the Video Game Awards. May G4 rest.
Yes, the classic G4, not Frosted G4.
No. Yeah.
That's a name
guys.
I haven't heard.
Morgan Webb G4. That's all I care about.
Yes, Chris Gore G4. All right, guys, that is going to probably do it for this week. Thank you to our wonderful panel and for everybody who participated tonight, whether you chatted, whether you super chatted, whether you got a membership, gifted a membership, or was gifted a membership. Thank you guys for all of your support. Thank you to the amazing panel. Nolan Thunder, tell people more about where they can find you.
Well, you can find me at youtube.com at Nolan Thunder. I do little documentaries on video game and internet mysteries. I've been at work here recently on a production that will be coming to light, hopefully early spring or late winter, coming into next year. Going to be covering an old Super Mario 64 urban legend. I hope you check it out. There's got a lot of cool B-movie horror elements in it, and there's going to be explosions. So if you like that sort of thing, check it out.
Absolutely. Martin Stone, where can folks find out more about what you're up to?
I hang out with Hangry Table and Nolan Thunder as one of the Lost Guys on the That Park Place channel. It's a member exclusive where we talk about old TV shows and movies and books and music and things like that. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, fantastic. Everybody check that out. Jessica Calais Sheffield, the nerd of all trades. Where can folks find out more about all the plethora of things that you are up to?
Hey guys, you can go to CalayWorks.net and almost everything I've been doing is up for free there. I'm at CalayWorks on YouTube, and I do a weekly series called The Works. We're currently going over an old anime called G Gundam, and I also have a weekly podcast called Audicious that I just started, so you can check all that out.
Awesome. And Spencer Piccoli, what are you up to lately?
Don't worry about me. I was here for like 5 seconds. I don't get a promo this week.
You still get a plug.
Okay,
you guys, you still get a plug.
I can tell you what he's
All
not
right.
been up to.
What have I
Being
not
on
been
the
up to,
screen.
Trish?
Being
There
on
you
the
go.
screen.
You got it. You cannot find me here on Thursday.
That's right.
Hanging out with his cool friends from Rippaverse.
I had to go to the bathroom really bad after the show, and it took me a while. But you guys, you pushed me into this corner. But no, you guys check out boundingintocomics.com every day, where we got new news stories coming up. Check out my fellow chief over at That Park Place with his new news stories coming up. You can check out my channel, Studio Kabuto, if that's up your alley, right here on not Twitter, YouTube, and that's all I've got.
I just loved this comment that came in from Lord Bane. I love how Nolan is placed right above Gina's boobs.
Oh my god, I'm hot.
He's just like popping out.
Put those away, Nolan.
I like how Nolan's sexy pose was.
Trish, I'm hoping to get our most recent episode of Crime and Punishment out tomorrow so that we can then record a new episode coming up. If anything else you wanted to say as we sign off tonight? No.
Good. I'm good.
Okay, cool. Cool. Kevin Apollo, what do you got going on?
Nothing. I have to change my Ants and Mount discussion because unification changed my world. So I need to
do a thing on that. Do a whole thing on that, please.
I'll probably cry again. But so I'm working on that. These things take me a while because there's a lot of information I have to figure out how to convey into the short amount of time I try to keep them going, or else it'll be like a 9-hour TED talk. But on that, while I'm on Twitter timeout, you can follow me at my OG wrestler Twitter, which is just simply Kevin Apollo.
Yes. Always a fun follow, guys. And of course, guys, for me, make sure you bookmark in That Park Place, checking out all of the nerdy pop culture news that we've got coming there every single day. Check out Tooney Wrestling over at Toon Wrestling on YouTube. We do a live show there every Tuesday night if you're a pro wrestling fan. And of course, keep it tuned here to Tooney TV for new videos every single week. Plus, of course, a wonderful live stream. And we've got new members-only exclusive content coming at you guys this week and next as well. All right, guys, for our wonderful panel here and for all of us here at the Tooney channels, I'm Marvin the Movie Monster. Now get out of here! Now, Betty the Platypus, feel the wrath of my thank you-inator!
Thank you, you piece of trash.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you! Oh, I suppose you want me to say thank you. Well, you know what? Saying thank you is like jobbing.
Thank you! I got a little message. Thank you. Ooh, yeah!
Oh, thank you! Oh, thank you! Thank you! Thank you! Thank you! Thank you!
Thanks? For what? Hi-ho from all of us here at Tooney Town. Thank you!
And viewers like you. Thank you.